partnership.
Everyone knows what that means, right? We've been talking about this for a long time. Thank you.
Next is the policy.
ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ। ਆਮ ਯੂਰ ਹੋਸਟ ਯੁਧਵੀਰ ਜਸਵਾਲ। ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਯੁਧਵੀਰ ਜਸਵਾਲ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫੌਰਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੈਸੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਰਡਰਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਈਨ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ। ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਲਿੱਪ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੁਣੇ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਸਾਈਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ TPP ਐਗਜ਼ੈਕਟਿਵ ਆਰਡਰਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਾਸ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹੈ ਕਿ US ਇਜ਼ ਮੂਵਿੰਗ ਆਊਟ ਆਫ TPP। ਇਹਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਦ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੀਅਸ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਔਰ ਨਿਊ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਟੀਫਨ ਹਾਰਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਫੌਰਨ ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪੀਚਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਪਹਿਲੀ ਸਪੀਚ ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ 25 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ TPP ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੀਗੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਨਿਊ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ TPP ਵਿਲ ਨਾਟ ਸੀ ਦ ਲਾਈਟ ਆਫ ਦ ਡੇ। ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਕੀ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਚਰਚਾ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਰਿਟਰੀਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੀ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਜਾਪਾਨ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਐਲਾਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ US ਇਜ਼ ਆਊਟ ਆਫ ਦਿਸ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਈ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ 12 ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਟਰਾਂਸ ਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਸ 'ਚ ਡੀਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਔਰ ਨਿਊਜ਼ੀਲੈਂਡ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਆ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਵਾਈਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਵਾਈਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਟਰਾਂਸ ਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ਼ਿਪ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੋਰਨ ਅਫੇਅਰਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਫॉर ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਸੀਗੇ, ਹੁਣ ਰੀਸੈਂਟ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਸ਼ਫਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੋਰਨ ਅਫੇਅਰਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਟੀਆ ਫਰੀਲੈਂਡ। ਸ਼ੀ ਵਾਜ਼ ਦੇਅਰ ਫॉर ਦ ਇਨੋਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੈਰੇਮਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁਣ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਈ ਆ। ਲੈਟਸ ਲਿਸਨ ਟੂ ਵਾਟ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਟੀਆ ਫਰੀਲੈਂਡ ਹੈਜ਼ ਟੂ ਸੇ।
The situation with the TPP is what it always has been. As you all know, this agreement was so constructed that it can only enter into force with the United States as a ratifying country. So the TPP as a deal cannot happen without the United States being a party to it.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਟੀਆ ਫਰੀਲੈਂਡ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵਿਦਆਊਟ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ TPP ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੱਧ ਸਕਦਾ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਗੁੱਡ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਜੋ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕੁਝ 2-3 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਐਜ਼ ਫਾਰ ਐਜ਼ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਇਜ਼ ਕੰਸਰਨਡ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੀਸਟੋਨ XL ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਪਰੂਵਲ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਕਿ ਯੈਸ ਵੀ ਕੈਨ ਮੂਵ ਫਰਦਰ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਕੀਸਟੋਨ XL ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨ। ਦੈਟਸ ਸਰਟਨਲੀ ਗੁੱਡ ਨਿਊਜ਼। ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਹੋਰ ਬਾਕੀ ਏਰੀਆਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ। ਕੈਲਗਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਸੀਗੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕੀਤਾ। ਦੇ ਆਲ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਦਿਸ ਨਿਊਜ਼। ਖੈਰ ਕੀਸਟੋਨ XL ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਗੁੱਡ ਨਿਊਜ਼। ਨੈਫਟਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਹਜੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਪੋਕਸ ਪਰਸਨ ਨੇ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਈ ਵਿਲ ਬੀ ਡੂਇੰਗ 1-on-1 ਮੀਟਿੰਗਸ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਨੈਫਟਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੋਰਨ ਅਫੇਅਰਸ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਵਾਸ਼ਿੰਗਟਨ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ 1-on-1 ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਦੇ ਹੈਵ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਸਪੋਕਨ ਓਵਰ ਦ ਫੋਨ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਨੈਫਟਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਟੋਨ ਹੈ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਇਨ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਵੀ ਯੂਜੂਲੀ ਟਰਾਈ ਟੂ ਓਬਜ਼ਰਵ ਦ ਟੋਨ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਜੋ ਸਪੋਕਸ ਪਰਸਨ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੋਨ ਸੀਗੀ ਆਫਟਰ ਦ ਬਰੀਫਿੰਗ, ਉਹ ਟੋਨ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਨਰਮ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ। ਖੈਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਔਰ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਹੈ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ NDP ਦੇ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੈਮਲੀ ਗੋਰਮਾਲਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਜੀ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ।
ਵੈਲਕਮ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਜੀ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਯੂ ਆਰ ਅ ਡੈਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ ਆਫ NDP, ਅ ਮੇਜਰ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੇਅਰ ਇਨ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ। ਯੂ ਮਸਟ ਬੀ ਵਿਟਨੈਸਿੰਗ ਆਲ ਦਿਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਕਲੋਜ਼ਲੀ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕੀ ਰਾਏ ਹੈਗੀ? TPP ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਨੈਫਟਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਨਿਊ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ?
ਜੀ ਦ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਅਨਪ੍ਰੈਡਿਕਟੇਬਲ ਜੀ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਡਿਗਨਿਟੀ ਐਂਡ ਗ੍ਰੇਸਫੁਲਨੈਸ ਐਂਡ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲਿਜ਼ਮ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸਿਓਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ TPP ਦਾ ਜੋ ਅਨਾਊਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ TPP ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਸੀਗੇ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਮੈਨੂਫੈਕਚਰਰਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਊਟੀਕਲਸ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲੋਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਸਤੇ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ 'ਚੋਂ ਸਸਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਰੱਗਸ ਖਰੀਦ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਨ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਡਡ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਊਟੀਕਲਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਤੇ TPP ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਨ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਡਡ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਊਟੀਕਲਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਡਰੱਗ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਵੱਧ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਸੋ ਕਈ ਪਾਸਿਓਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ TPP ਵਰਕਰਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡਰੱਗ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਸੋ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ NAFTA ਅਸੀਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਡਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦਾ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਸ਼ਨਿਜ਼ਮ ਹੋਣ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨਾਲ ਡੀਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਘੱਟ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਕਿ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਥਿੰਗਸ ਵਿਲ ਬੀ ਓਕੇ
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਆਟੋ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾਟ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਆਟੋ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਵਿਲ ਟਾਕ ਲਿਟਲ ਬਿਟ ਲੇਟਰ
ਜੀ।
ਲੇਕਿਨ ਆਟੋ ਸੈਕਟਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕਫਾਸਟ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ CEO ਸੀਗੇ ਆਫ ਬਿਗ 3 ਜਨਰਲ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਫੋਰਡ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਸਲਰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ CEOs ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਕਾਰ ਐਨੀ ਕਾਰ ਵਿਚ ਇਜ਼ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਸੋਲਡ ਇਨ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਇਟ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਮੈਨੂਫੈਕਚਰਡ ਇਨ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਸੋ ਆਰ ਯੂ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਰੀਅਲੀ ਡਿਫਾਈਨ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਇਜ਼ ਇਟ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਔਰ ਨਾਟ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਨ ਅ ਗਲੋਬਲ ਸਕੇਲ ਅੱਜ ਪਾਰਟਸ ਕਿਤੇ ਬਣ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਸੈਂਬਲੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਗੱਡੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਹਾਊ ਡੂ ਯੂ ਡਿਫਾਈਨ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਐਨ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਕਾਰ ਔਰ ਜੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਕਾਰ ਆ ਤੇ ਜੀ US ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਫੋਰਡ ਦੇ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਇੱਥੇ ਓਕਵਿਲ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਸਲਰ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ 'ਚ ਹੈ ਹੋਰ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਇਨ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਰਿਗਾਰਡਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਆਟੋ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ
ਸੋ ਆਟੋ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਸ਼ਨਿਜ਼ਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਖਤਰਾ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਨੂਫੈਕਚਰਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਅਸਰ ਨਾ ਪਵੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਡ ਇਨ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਡ ਇਨ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਸੈਂਟੇਜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ 60% ਅਸੈਂਬਲੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੇਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਟੀਸਫਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਬਣਿਆ ਉਸ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੈਕਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਮੇਨਟੇਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਰਟਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਰਸੈਂਟੇਜ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਸੈਟੀਸਫਾਈ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਅ ਲਿਟਲ ਬਿਟ ਵਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ
ਲਿਟਲ ਬਿਟ ਹੈ ਅੱਛਾ ਵਰੀ ਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ NAFTA ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਟਰਾਂਸਪੋਰਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਔਰ ਖਾਸ ਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਸ ਏਰੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਕੰਸਰਨਸ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਵਾਟ ਅਬਾਊਟ NAFTA ਜਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਆਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ ਤੱਕ ਗੁੱਡਸ ਫ੍ਰੀਲੀ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਮਿਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜੇ NAFTA ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਚੇਂਜ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਆਫ ਗੁੱਡਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਸਰਪਸ਼ਨ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸਿਓਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਮੈਨੂਫੈਕਚਰਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ NAFTA ਦਾ ਐਗਰੀਮੈਂਟ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਵੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੋ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰੀਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਨੈਗੋਸ਼ੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਸ਼ਾਰਾ ਹੈ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਡਿਡ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਮਾਸਕੋ ਨੋ ਲੋਟ ਆਫ ਇੰਕ ਹੈਜ਼ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਬੀਨ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਔਨ ਦੈਟ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਵਿਦ ਹਿਸ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਟੂ ਰਸ਼ੀਆ ਮਾਸਕੋ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਵੈਸੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਟੋਕੀਓ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਪਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਟੌਪ 5 ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰਸ ਨਾਲ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਓਵਰ ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਕੌਣ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬੜਾ ਲੀਡਰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਔਰ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ
Are you a resident of Brampton who is concerned about your city and your municipality? My name is Michael A. Charbon, and I'm the host of Brampton Focus. We encourage you to join us here every Monday night at 7:30 for Brampton Focus, where we discuss the issues that matter and talk to the people who make the city work. Join us Mondays at 7:30 for Brampton Focus, right here on Rogers Television. It's 2017, and for politics in Ontario, it's 18 months from a provincial election. But the people in Ontario have questions. Questions about our ballooning debt, the sale of Hydro One, your hydro rates, and much more. My name is Michael A. Charbon. In a one-on-one dedicated sit-down interview, I speak to the Honourable Kathleen Wynne and address these questions and much more. Watch One-on-One with Kathleen Wynne, Sunday, February the 5th at 7 p.m. right here on Rogers Television.
We felt it the minute we first hit that tape player.
Pressing pause,
Remember?
yeah, to try to make a seamless
And
mix.
that's when we knew.
We considered it kind of a calling.
We try to find the right tracks, and then we ritualize them on those turntables. It's like a hue, a color.
Paint a picture with the music.
That's what we do.
Then it's electric.
It's about the build-up. It's about the drop. You can just sense when they start feeling it, even a hint of movement. And when that track goes on, when the needle cuts right through the groove of the vinyl, that's when it becomes alive.
People go out to
Release themselves.
release themselves, and it's up to us to bring them to that point.
Everybody has their place of happiness, their utopia they escape to, and this is our place that we have discovered. We have a soft spot for Brampton because this is our hometown, this is where we grew up.
It's our home.
What really triggered it was one of my friends who took his own life. I started self-medicating with alcohol. I couldn't sleep. I was having constant nightmares, waking up screaming. A friend of mine referred me to the Legion. I had no idea what services they provided, but that's what eventually forced me to seek the help, and I'm glad I did. It was the best thing that I ever did.
ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ। ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫੋਨ ਉਠਾਇਆ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਲੋਜ਼ੈਸਟ ਪਾਰਟਨਰਸ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਐਂਡ ਮੈਕਸੀਕੋ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ। ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਟੌਪ 2 ਇਨ ਦ ਲਿਸਟ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਫੋਨ ਕਾਲਸ ਆਈ ਸੀ ਵਾਸ ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ ਆਰ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਐਜ਼ ਵੈਲ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਜ਼ਰਾਈਲ ਬੈਂਜਾਮਿਨ ਨੇਤਨਯਾਹੂ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ, ਸਭ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਹੈ, ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਹੋਰ ਚੰਗੇ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਇਜਿਪਟ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ, ਐਂਡ ਦ ਫਿਫਥ ਪਰਸਨ ਵਾਸ ਨਨ ਅਦਰ ਦੈਨ ਦ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਨਰਿੰਦਰ ਮੋਦੀ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਟੋਕੀਓ, ਰਸ਼ੀਆ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਚਾਈਨਾ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ। ਔਰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਨ, ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਦਿਲ ਬੀ ਅ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਆਫ ਥੈਰੇਸਾ ਮੇ, ਦ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ, ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਵਾਸ਼ਿੰਗਟਨ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਦੈਟ ਕਲੀਅਰਲੀ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟਸ ਕਿ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਔਰ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਨ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕਲੋਜ਼ ਨੇ। ਬਟ ਲੈਟਸ ਲੀਵ ਇਟ ਦੇਅਰ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਈ ਨੋ ਯੂਰ ਅ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ, ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਜੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ 'ਚ ਅਫੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਡੋਮੈਸਟਿਕ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਐਸ ਫਾਰ ਐਜ਼ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੈ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇਸ 'ਤੇ ਕੀ ਕਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ?
ਜੀ ਦੇਖੋ, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਊਗਾ। ਇਤਿਹਾਸਿਕ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਨੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਸੇ ਵਕਤ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰਿਸਿਟੀ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਵੱਧ ਗਏ। ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਨੇ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰੀਬਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਨ 'ਤੇ ਕਦੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਹੋਰ, ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡਾ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇਣਾ। ਕਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇਣਾ। ਅਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਆਫਿਸਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ, ਬੜਾ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲੀ ਵੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਪਊਗਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰਿਸਿਟੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ 'ਤੇ ਵੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਨੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਸਕੂਲਾਂ, ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀਜ਼, ਸੜਕਾਂ, ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ।
ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਨੇ ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਬਜਟ ਡੈਫੀਸਿਟ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ, ਬੜਾ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ 2 ਤੋਂ 4 ਬਿਲੀਅਨ ਡਾਲਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕਰ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ, ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਹਜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਰਹੇਗਾ, ਪੈਸੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰ ਲਾਂਗੇ ਜੋ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ।
ਸੋ ਦੇਖੋ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੱਥ 'ਚ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਸਿਰਫ 40% ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਥ 'ਚ ਰੱਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, 60% ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਹੱਥ 'ਚ ਜਾਊਗਾ। ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ 40% ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਹੈ। ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਤਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਹੱਥ 'ਚ ਜਾਊਗਾ। ਹਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਓਨਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ 60% ਦੂਜੇ ਹੱਥਾਂ 'ਚ ਜਾਊਗਾ। ਸੋ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਵਨ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਇੱਕ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ। ਅਤੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਆਫਿਸਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਈਵਨ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ, ਇਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਕਾਸਟਲੀ ਤੇ ਇਨਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਟ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਵਨ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੇਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਨ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਨਕਰੀਸ ਆਫ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਫਿਰ ਖਤਮ ਹੋਊਗਾ 1 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਸਦੇ ਲਈ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਵੱਧ ਵੀ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਧੀਆ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਰਤ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ। ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਫਰਾਸਟ੍ਰਕਚਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਰੱਖੋ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ, ਉਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਹੈ। ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੈਲਿਊਬਲ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਅੱਛਾ, ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ontario ਐਨਰਜੀ ਬੋਰਡ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਦੂਸਰਾ, ਉਹ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਵਾਅਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਚਲੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਨੇ, ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੁਝ ਅਸਰ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਘਟਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਸੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਸਸਤਾ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਓਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਟੈਕਨੀਕਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਹੱਟਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਹੱਟਸ ਦਾ ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਮੋਟਿਵ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਮੋਟਿਵ। ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੇ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀ ਰੱਖ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੋਰ ਆਪਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਾਫੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਲੱਭ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨਾ, ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ੈਂਪਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਚੋਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਰੈਵਨਿਊ ਚੋਂ, ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਬਜਟ ਚੋਂ ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਘਟਾ ਕੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਇੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਇਸ ਵਾਰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਬਟ ਲਾਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਹੈਡ ਅ ਮਾਈਨੋਰਟੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਐਂਡ ਯੂ ਵਰ ਹੋਲਡਿੰਗ ਦ ਬੈਲੈਂਸ ਆਫ ਦ ਪਾਵਰ। ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਗਿਰਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਿਰਾਈ ਹੈ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੇ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੱਥ ਜਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਣਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਯੂ ਹੋਲਡ ਅਗੇਨ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਲਡਿੰਗ ਦ ਬੈਲੈਂਸ ਆਫ ਪਾਵਰ, ਕੋਈ ਐਸਾ ਕੋਈ ਕਦਮ ਚੁੱਕੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਲਿਆਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੱਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਓਨਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਕੈਂਸਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ?
ਸੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ 407 ਜਦੋਂ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਆਲਮੋਸਟ ਮੁਫਤ 'ਚ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਨੂੰ, ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਪਰ ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਡੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਤੇ ਸੀ, ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾੜੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਪਰ ਐਟ ਦੀ ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਡੇ ਉਹ 100 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਲੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੱਥ ਆਪੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਜੂਗੀ। ਇਹ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਉਣਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਫੇਰ ਖਰੀਦਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਔਖਾ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੈਲਿਊਏਸ਼ਨ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਸਤੀ ਹੈ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੀ ਐਕਚੁਅਲ ਵੈਲਿਊ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕੋ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਐਸੈਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਕੀਮਤ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੋਰ ਵੀ ਗੋਇੰ ਟੂ ਰਿਲਾਈ ਔਨ ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰਿਸਿਟੀ, ਹੋਰ ਫੋਸਲ ਫਿਊਲਸ ਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰਿਸਿਟੀ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਸਾਡਾ ਸਮਾਜ ਲਈ। ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਖਰੀਦਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੋਗਾ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਿਟਡ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਰਸਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਨਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੋਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਥ 'ਚ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਪਰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫੇਰ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇੰਨਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੇਚ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੋਗਾ।
ਡਿਸਪਾਈਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੋਪੂਲੈਰਿਟੀ ਨੰਬਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਘੱਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ
ਜੀ
ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ, ਔਰ ਅਪਰੂਵਲ ਰੇਟਿੰਗ ਘੱਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ, ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਆਈ ਗॉट ਅ ਚਾਂਸ ਟੂ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ ਐਂਡ ਆਈ ਆਸਕਡ ਹਰ ਓਪਨਲੀ, ਆਈ ਸੈਡ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਵਾਟ, ਯੂਰ ਅਪਰੂਵਲ ਨੰਬਰਸ ਆਰ ਵੈਰੀ ਲੋ, 14% ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ, ਸੋ ਵਾਟ ਡੂ ਯੂ ਥਿੰਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦੈਟ? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਰ ਕਲੀਸ਼ੇ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਸੀ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਨਸਰ ਨਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਆਖਰੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੋਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਪੋਲ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਬਟ ਸ਼ੀ ਸਟਿਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਈਡੀਆਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਆਟੋ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਤੇ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ, ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਬੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣ ਪਾ ਰਹੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਖੜੇ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ। ਉਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਲਓ। ਮੈਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈ ਲੈਣਾ, ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਈਡੀਆਜ਼ ਆਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੋਨੇਟਿੰਗ, ਜਾਂ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਦੇ, ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਮੈਜਿਕ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਕਈ ਫਿਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਪਪੂਲਰ ਹੋਏ, ਵੋਟਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੈਣ ਔਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬਣੇ। ਸੋ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ? ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈ, ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ।
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. you could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
It's that pause in time. That's what magic is. Just in that zone where everything is possible. It's like you can believe that there's something bigger than you. Sometimes it's time to wonder and everything else just fades away. True sleight of hand is a move that's indetectable. I spend most of my life trying to create moves that people will never see. What would life be without magic? It's just one more element that makes our life interesting. It's a rush.
Join us here on Rogers TV for a 12-week series, Creating Your Best Life Now. Get ready to learn tools and tips that are necessary for you to create your best life. Once you learn strategies of my 12 guests, you will be equipped for success and results that last. Over 12 weeks, you will be built up with the confidence to overcome obstacles and conquer your fears and finally live a life that you love.
ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਟੁਡੇ ਔਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਦੇ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਲੀਡਰ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਜਗਮੀਤ ਜੀ, ਆਰ ਯੂਰ ਆਈਡੀਆਜ਼ ਨਾਟ ਰੈਜ਼ੋਨੇਟਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੰਸਰਨਸ ਨੇ ਵਿਚ ਆਰ ਕੁਆਇਟ ਵੈਲਿਡ, ਹਾਈਡਰੋ 1 ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ, ਆਟੋ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ, ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਬੜਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਕੈਂਡਲ ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਆਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ। ਸੋ ਕੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਸਰਕਾਰ ਅਗਲੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬਣੇਗੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣੇਗੀ, ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਾਣਗੇ ਲੋਕ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ?
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਯਕੀਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਨ ਮਸਲੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟੱਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜੋ ਲੋਕ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਹੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ। ਦੇਖੋ, ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਦੇ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਘਬਰਾਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਹਾਈਡਰੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੀ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇਣਾ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੇ ਆਟੋ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਘਟਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਪਾਏ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਘਟਾਇਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤੇ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਹੈਗਾ? ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਾ ਛਿੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ, ਹੋਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਡੀਰੈਗੂਲੇਟ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਆਪੇ ਘਟਾਉਣਗੇ ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ। ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੀ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਰੇਟਸ ਵਧਾਉਣਗੇ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਆਟੋ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤਾਂ ਬਣੀ ਹੈ। ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੜੇ ਦੂਰ ਦਾ ਤੀਜੇ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2014 ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੰਪੈਟੀਟਿਵ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਬੋਥ ਇਨ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਸਪ੍ਰਿੰਗਡੇਲ ਤੇ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਵੈਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਸੋ ਦਿਸ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਗਰੋਥ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਨੇ, ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੇਅਰਸ ਉਹ ਸਹੂਲਤ ਘਟਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਵੇਟਿੰਗ ਟਾਈਮਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੰਬੇ ਨੇ। ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਯਕੀਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਜ਼ਬੂਤ ਬਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਨਾ ਲਿਬਰਲਸ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵਸ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਨਾਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਗੇ।
ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਨੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਲੋਕ ਜੇ ਨਾਰਾਜ਼ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਜਾਂ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ, ਵੋਟਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਖੈਰ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਣਗੇ, ਨੈਕਸਟ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ 'ਚ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇਗੀ। ਬਟ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਵਟ 6 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਅਪਰੋਕਸੀਮੇਟਲੀ 2016 ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ, 2016 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ? $6 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ। ਔਰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ, ਅਪਰੋਕਸੀਮੇਟਲੀ $12.5 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਉਹਨੇ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਯੂ ਆਰ ਅ ਡਿਸਟੈਂਟ ਥਰਡ। ਪੈਸੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ, ਕਿਉਂ?
ਸੋ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਕੰਸਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਨਾਲ। ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਡੋਨਰਸ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਸਕੈਂਡਲ ਨਾਲ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਵਰਤ ਕੇ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਹੈਗੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੰਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬਰਾਬਰਤਾ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਬੰਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਟ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ।
call to order the council meeting for the Regional Municipality Appeal for Thursday, January the 26th. Roll call. All are present except Councillor Downey on other municipal business, Councillor Paleshi, and Councillor Parrish. And oh, okay. Just walked in. Good stuff, Michael. Thank you. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, then approval of the minutes, moved by Councillor Fonseca, seconded by Councillor Gibson. Any questions or amendments with respect to those minutes? Seeing none, then all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Approval of the agenda, Mayor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if we could put on the health portion of our agenda a joint letter written by Mayor Crombie and myself with regards to the issue of opioids and fentanyl.
Yeah, what we could do is we'll make that item 7.2.
Thank you.
Under items related to health. Okay. So approval of the agenda then.
I got another
Mayor Crombie?
issues as well. Thank you. I'll happy to second Mayor Jeffrey's motion. Also, I think we need consideration of two other issues. I mentioned it at Mississauga Council last week. One is the issue of the election of the regional chair and whether we have a united position that we might want to take to the province. I don't believe that legislation has passed the province yet. And secondly is the timing of our budget in relation to the timing of our city budgets. I found it very onerous that they were on top of each other this year, and I'm wondering if in 2017 we may just have a week separation either ahead or behind. If we entertain the region budget first and then move into our city budgets, I think the timing would be better if we could discuss that as well.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to ask David to respond to that.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the last item, the timing of the budget, we're already working on that, and we're looking at presenting, we will bring to council a schedule looking at presenting the regional budget the beginning of November. It's the only impediment will be encouraging our external agencies, police services board, conservation authorities to speed up their process too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and I think with respect to the election of regional chair, if you'd like me to put that under other business, we can deal with it at that time. Okay. Moved by Mayor Jeffrey, seconded by Mayor Crombie, then, that the agenda for the January 26, 2017 Regional Council meeting be amended to include an additional communication from Mayor Bonnie Crombie and Mayor Linda Jeffrey dated January 25, 2017 regarding opioids, in particular fentanyl, to be dealt with under items related to health, item 7.2, and also the other two items that you had mentioned, and further that the agenda for the January 26, 2017 Regional Council meeting be approved as amended. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. We have a delegation today with Chuck Scott, Chair, Friends of Peel Art Gallery, Museum and Archives, PAMA Advisory Board, and Marty Brent, Manager of PAMA. If you'd like to come forward and present to council, please.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. We come to this meeting place with a good heart. We acknowledge our respect for the land which we are on. We are honored to be here in the traditional territory of the Wyandot, Seneca, and Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations. We are thankful to the many First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and global peoples who call this region home. Miigwech, Niawa, Krianamig, Marci. Good morning, Chair Dale, members of council. I'm Marty Brent from PAMA, and I'm joined today by Chuck Scott, from Chair of the Advisory Board from the Friends of PAMA. I'm very pleased to acknowledge several members of the Advisory Board who are here with us today. Councillor Medeiros, Bart Bull, and Catherine Chung. I'm also very pleased to welcome our special guests, Charles Pachter and Keith Lim. This week marks the 150th anniversary of the inaugural meeting of Peel County Council in the newly completed courthouse in Brampton. The convergence of Peel, Ontario, and Canada 150 provides us with an exceptional platform in 2017 for engaging, inspiring, and connecting with residents across the region. It's a catalyst for collaboration and exploration about who we are in Peel, past, present, future. It's a significant year, giving voice to untold stories, honoring and reflecting, and building legacy for future generations. PAMA and our many partners are launching a robust program of exhibitions, events, and arts, heritage, and culture initiatives to which you are all invited. We have highlighted our 2017 program in our report to Council to provide you with an overview of the depth and myriad ways in which PAMA contributes to community vibrancy and the well-being of the residents of Peel.
The video right now. So we're going to play the video right now. We've prepared a video that'll give a summarization of the plans that we have for 2017.
I'm Marty Brent, manager here at the Peel Art Gallery Museum and Archives. Canada 150 is here. It's Canada's and Peel's 150th anniversary. The Peel County Courthouse and Jail, built in 1867, also turned 150. We are working with partners from across our diverse region to take an inclusive and innovative look at our collective past and to celebrate who we are today. Canada 150 brings us all together to share our stories and create a legacy for the future.
Welcome to PAMA. Discover the beauty and complexities of watercolor in the art gallery.
In this exhibition, you will be seeing the actual comic book pages from a graphic novel called Clyde Fans.
Learn more about Canadian hero Terry Fox and how he continues to inspire us.
Throughout the year, learn about Aboriginal people in Peel in our We Are Here exhibition. Share traditions and songs during the monthly drumming circle with Peel Aboriginal Network. Celebrate Aboriginal Day in June.
Join us and connect with arts and culture during great programs and events, including Family Day, March Break, Family Art and Stories, Art and Yoga, Summer Camp, Summer Staycation Days, Culture Days, and more.
The Archives here at PAMA is the official repository for the Region of Peel's archival records, and we provide the same unique role for the municipalities within Peel. Come research and learn with us.
In April, we celebrate the third Sikh Heritage Month in partnership with PAMA. Through arts and heritage, exhibits, workshops, and more, we showcase Sikh culture with the common goal of unity, peace, and understanding.
Here's our Canada's 150th birthday, a wonderful bit of serendipity. Come and join me at PAMA, see my exhibition, and come and take a look and see what makes this country tick.
Over the last year, we asked PAMA visitors to tell us what Canada means to you. You told us that home, peace, community, land, creativity, and truth matter most. These themes now shape our signature Peel at 150 exhibition. The exhibit tells your untold stories of Peel's past, present, and future through community engagement, technology, and hundreds of PAMA treasures.
What Canada means to me is safety and acceptance.
What Canada means to me is freedom. My home.
We look forward to celebrating this incredible Peel, Ontario, and Canadian milestone year with you.
Come celebrate with us.
Mr. Chairman, mayors, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us at Council today to present our plans for 2017, Canada's and Peel's 150th anniversary. When you think back to the roots of this Council, the first time they met was 150 years ago this month in the Council chambers at PAMA, what is now PAMA. Then it was the Peel County Council chambers. Peel was just a smattering of villages and primarily an agricultural economy. Today, we have a population of nearly 1.5 million and an economy that's as diverse as anywhere in the world. PAMA, while located in Brampton, provides services across the region. Our creative expressions programs go into schools in the Peel District School Board, the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board, and the Brampton Caledon Community Living Day programs. Creative expression supports unique individuals of all ages who have developmental challenges. These programs are developed and delivered by trained educators for participants to learn life skills and to have positive arts experiences. This spectacular program, for which our board successfully raises funds, is important to the community and serves a need. These programs could not be run if it was not for our community partners, the Brampton Community Foundation, Caledon Community Foundation, and caregivers that support the participants of creative expressions. PAMA contributes to the well-being of seniors across the region with our vibrant outreach programs designed to stimulate memory and function through art and history activities. PAMA's outreach service connects with over 3,000 seniors a year in the long-term care facilities across Peel. PAMA is a partner in numerous events and festivals. You will find us with booths and exhibits at the Bollywood Monster Mashup Festival, the Children Water Festival, local malls, squares, libraries, local fairs, and special events. PAMA staff actively support and contribute their expertise to arts and culture planning initiatives within the cities of Brampton, Mississauga, and the town of Caledon. We lend and share exhibits and collections with Museums of Mississauga in order to extend the reach of our community stories. The Region Archives is widely consulted by researchers for projects across all three municipalities. PAMA is currently involved with the CVC Credit Valley Trail Project. We are providing an archival and historical perspective to this cross-municipal environmental undertaking. PAMA has a focus to reflect the diversity of many of the voices and perspectives in Peel, and this is no more evident than our partnership with FOLD, the Festival of Literary Diversity, our First Nations education programs, and the Sikh community through our celebration of Sikh Heritage Month. Arts and culture defines us as a people, and at PAMA we listen and respond to the needs of the community. Our audiences continue to grow year over year, and the programs we are presenting represent all areas of art, culture, and history. We also know that arts and culture is an economic driver in community. We know that when people visit PAMA, the Alton Mill, or the Living Arts Centre, they tend to visit shops, restaurants in the area. This creates an economic opportunity. In Ontario, there's over $28 billion in GDP from the arts and culture sector, and that represents thousands of jobs and thousands of jobs here in the region. As you saw in the video, we have an exciting year ahead, and the board and staff invite you and your constituents of all your wards to attend our events, openings, exhibition throughout the year. And as special events come up, we'll be asking many of you to come and speak to our events and gatherings. So I thank you for having us here today.
It's a great honor this morning to announce a magnificent gift to the region of Peel. This gift is from Mr. Charles Pachter, outstanding Canadian artist and outstanding Canadian. Mr. Pachter is an officer of the Order of Canada and a member of the Order of Ontario. He has also been recognized for his accomplishments in France by being awarded the Ordre des Arts et des Lettres, and he is a recipient of the Queen's Golden and Diamond Jubilee medals. As a painter, printmaker, sculptor, and designer, Mr. Pachter has been a major contributor to the Ontario and Canadian art scene for over half a century. His distinctive art is woven into the very fabric of Ontario's self-image and public consciousness. His emblematic images are represented in private and public collections. His ubiquitous Moose Crossings road signs can be seen along highways and roadways across the province. Everywhere, Charles Pachter's images of nature, culture, and history invite us to be conscious of and to celebrate Ontario. Mr. Pachter is also a writer, researcher, and raconteur. His books, essays, and lectures blend his knowledge, life experiences, and humor into wisdom that captures the imaginations of both young and mature audiences. His educational and entertaining works, whether spoken, written, or visual, help inspire us to appreciate in a deep way all aspects of our province. Charles Pachter is a person of incredible integrity. His intellectual acuity, his inquisitive sensibility, his good grace and generosity are all emblematic of a fully engaged citizen whose powers of mind and creativity are directed to making his home, province, and country better for all. Throughout his career, he has always been motivated to create, to share, and to give back to communities that provide an inspiration for who he is as a person, an artist, and a citizen. Today, the Region of Peel is the recipient of Charles Pachter's generosity. He has given to the art collections at PAMA a wonderful gift of 56 works of his art, 52 prints, 2 paintings, 1 sculpture, and 1 limited edition book that he created in collaboration with Margaret Atwood. This is an extraordinarily generous gift and a very fitting start to PAMA's Canada, Ontario, and Peel 150 celebrations that will roll out for this year. It is with deep gratitude we thank you, Mr. Pachter. And now I would like to invite Chair Dale, Charles Pachter, and Chuck Scott to come forward and unveil the very special painting titled The Painted Flag, which is part of the Charles Pachter gift.
Wants to buy it.
Before I go to members of council, I did have a few remarks myself, and in thanking Mr. Pachter, I want to note how significant this gift is to us and what it means for both us, members of council, and the citizens of the Region of Peel. Mr. Pachter's distinguished career as an artist, innovator in the cultural community, strategic thinker, and as a generous patron of the arts has been defined by the value of engaged citizenship. He is a remarkable Canadian whose art and life remind us that citizenship includes creativity, a creative and imaginative capacity to transform society for the betterment of all the citizens. Mr. Pachter's art is deeply meaningful to us at the Region of Peel, in Ontario and across Canada, because it embraces diversity, sees beauty in the world at large, and finds humor to establish cohesiveness in a community. Your generous gift of art adds considerable strength to the collection at PAMA, which are distinguished by many fine works, all of which are significantly enhanced by your gift. May I express my thanks on behalf of my colleagues on this council and the residents of the Region of Peel. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank PAMA and Mr. Scott for today's presentation. Canada and Peel 150 afford unique opportunities to inspire deeper understanding of who we are, where we've come from, and our aspirations for the future. This week marks the 150th anniversary of the formation of Peel County as a separate and independent county and the opening of the Peel County Courthouse and Jail. It gives me great pleasure to announce that Regional Council will celebrate these anniversaries with a commemorative luncheon and program in the historic court at PAMA on Thursday afternoon, May the 30th. Details will be shared shortly. We look forward to many opportunities to engage with the residents of Peel Region through the arts and culture in the year ahead. And once again, thank you very much for your presentation. What a magnificent gift, the Region of Peel. I'll go to Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you, Chair Dale. And through the chair, I echo a lot of the comments which the chair just expressed. Thank you, Mr. Pachter, for this wonderful wonderful gift. I want to take this opportunity to recognize all the work that staff at PAMA do. It really, the work that as a leader, Marty, and all the meetings that we attend and the leadership that you provide is it's really remarkable. And I know this year is a special year, so I just want to recognize that. Also to the advisory board, to see a group of passionate individuals come together and really and through the leadership of Chuck Scott, it's really admirable to see. Just finally, also on behalf of the advisory board, I want to thank this council for all the support that you do provide PAMA. It's appreciative. Often, you know, whenever there's an ask or whenever we need the support of this council, we know that this council is there to support PAMA to the best of its ability. So thank you very much, and thank you again.
Thank you. Councillor Raz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you both to Chuck and Marty for coming today, and certainly to Charles. What a beautiful gift. I was privileged to see Charles and Margaret Atwood speak at the Central Library I guess it was about a year or so ago, and it was just one of the most entertaining and wonderfully quintessentially Canadian talks I've seen in a long time. But going back a little bit, I used to work at the Ontario Realty Corporation when they were mothballing and getting rid of the old courthouse, and it took a huge local effort and to see what it has become today as a focal point of the community, and you've created it's almost a live building again, is truly amazing and a testament to the work that you've done, so thank you for that. I did have the privilege of going through some of the minutes from the first council meeting, and just to share with my colleagues, I just found it very amusing that one of their first orders of business was to introduce a bill for the preservation of public morals, and one of the things that it was illegal to do was giving intoxicating drink to children, apprentices, idiots, and insane people. So some of those things. So just wonderful little tidbits of our history we can hopefully keep alive through the work that you do. So thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you. Mayor Thompson.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up at the last, but I was following the minutes and I was reading that. I found it was amusing, but it's how they put the medical officer and how they brought everything into place. You know, if we were doing that today, it'd take months to get done. You know, but I know it took a lot of organizing. But what was unique was I noticed a couple of names there, William Elliott and J.P. Hutton. So I called my mom and I said, "Is that part of our family tree?" And she says, "Yes, it is." But she didn't realize it was 1867 they were there. She knew at some point they were there, but didn't realize that they were there for the first Peel County meeting. But having said that, I don't think we utilize PAMA enough. You know, there's a lot of stuff we're trying to deal with in archives that you think stuff is lost or where you need to find. I just don't think we pick up the phone enough to call to ask, because you do have it. And I think a lot of times we're trying to do research and we're all guessing, and you have an amazing inventory, and I don't think all of us are utilizing the resources that you have there. And I know you have an exciting year this year, but I think all of us need to take the opportunity. You've got an amazing archive there, and we just need to utilize it a lot more. But maybe with opening those archives for 150th, maybe people will start to realize that this is a resource that we all can tap into. So thank you very much, and again, thank you for the beautiful gift. That flag is just gorgeous.
Thank you. Councillor Starr.
Yeah, I'm just so thrilled that, you know, how far PAMA has come in the last 20, 30 years. It's just amazing, and you know, with the legacy that we're leaving for our children and grandchildren, and especially when you see the types of exhibitions, and now just a quick video. I hope that there's going to be some sort of links to either Facebook or to tweeting and all the rest of it, because I'm sure all of us want to do that. And I just want to pay special recognition also to Mr. Pachter. Also, I was also at the I guess discussion. Margaret Atwood and yourself, you're sitting in those chairs or big couches, and yes, I also got a book signed by you, and I think Mr. Pachter and I talked for a minute. I was born 2 streets over on Sullivan, and of course, when I visited with my wife, I guess about 10, 12 years ago, it was maybe longer. It wasn't the fancy building that you have now, the Moose Factory. Is that what it is, the Moose Factory? And it just brought back so much deja vu when you see the area there, and then you see what's happening. And by the way, the moose, Charles, is my favorite animal, and for some reason. Anyway, I just think it's so amazing that you've got an icon like Mr. Pachter to be part of the celebrations and to have such a endearing display of his works. And so I just think that all of us have to do whatever we can to make sure that all of Peel and surrounding areas attend this. I think it's just a great opportunity to see the history, to see what happened in Peel, and even with relatives like Mayor Thompson. Now he's discovered that there's people way back there. So anyway, I just think congratulations. I mean, I'm just amazed at how much work's been done, and I think it's going to be very, very successful, and what a legacy to pass on to our children. So thank you very much to all of you. And to Charles, I'm still going to follow up on that phone call that I promised that we were going to get together one day. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation today. And to Mr. Pachter, thank you so much for your wonderful gift to the Region of Peel. And Pam. Councilor Medeiros, we'll bring forward 9.2, and you'll move that recommendation. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Raz. All in favor then? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Brings us to items related to health. Councillor Moore, if you chair this section, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of Council, the first item on the agenda is Report 6.1, the legalization of medical assistance in dying, the implications for the Region of Peel. Are there any questions on that? Seeing Councillor Miles.
I was just wondering, it wasn't mentioned in here about cases where individuals may be suffering from some kind of cognitive impairment. Would POA stand in this legislation?
Through you, Madam Chair, no. In order to be part of medical assistance in dying, you need to be completely capable to make the decision yourself. The decision cannot be placed upon the POA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Would you like to move the report, Councillor Miles?
Yes.
Do I need a seconder, Madam Clerk? Today, Councillor Mayor Thompson. I don't know whether I was giving you a promotion or a demotion there. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next item is a recommendation report. It's an update on the provincial and federal healthy eating initiatives. Councillor Sado.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to ask the medical officer of health to comment, if you would. I've attended several meetings of NEED, the National Eating Disorder Organization. One of my residents coordinates some of their seminars and workshops. And when I was at one of the sessions that was held in Meadowvale, a comment was made by one of the parents and actually one of the members who had an eating disorder. And I found it rather interesting because she said that for young people in high school, since they started posting the calorie count, that it was actually encouraging young women in particular to not eat healthy because of the eating disorder, and that when they started counting those calories and looking, there was that fear that, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, and that it was actually detrimental to encouraging the teenagers in particular to eat sufficiently. And I found that rather interesting because that was at the time that we were embarking, it was a couple of years ago, we were embarking on promoting this program of healthy eating. And I spoke to it and I said, the goal is for healthy eating and promoting, as you say, the minimum number of calories. But I'm wondering if, as well as just posting this, are we encouraging, are we promoting, are we doing anything in our high schools to encourage the young people that, don't just start counting on a chart and saying, well, if it says I can have 2,000 then I'm going to go to 1,500 and really promoting those healthy choices, because there seemed to be a lack of that at the time.
So through the
Dr.
chair.
Davila, thank you.
Through the chair, thank you for the question, Councillor Sato. The concern around the calorie counts and what that might mean for those who have challenges with eating disorders has certainly been raised. It is a hypothesis that it may contribute to greater disordered eating for that particular subset of the population, but there actually isn't a lot of research yet at this stage of the game to determine whether in fact that's true or not, or whether that's factual or not. With respect to healthy eating overall, you're quite right, however, that it's not just about calories. It's a much richer conversation that needs to be had. And we certainly do participate and work with our schools in respect of healthy eating. In fact, it's one of the 3 major areas on which we're partnering with our school boards. We have specific partnerships with our school boards, and healthy eating happens to be one of 3 pillars on which we're working. So I would suggest to you at this stage of the game, my understanding is that the province is looking at this as a first foray in terms of public information and awareness raising around those elements that constitute healthy eating. The hope is that in the future, we will be providing a more nuanced perspective where it's not just about calories, but it's actually a much richer awareness, a deeper awareness of that which constitutes healthy eating. And in fact, there are consultations that are happening throughout the rest of this year with respect to, well, what would be helpful for the public to see on the foods that they're consuming or considering buying.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Miles.
Well, I'm not just worried about the young women, I'm worried about the older women too. Have you gone into the restaurants now and you look at the calorie count and you find there's nothing there that you can eat? It's happening. It's happening. I know I was in Kelsey's last week and looking for something to eat, but there's a lot of fallacies that we carry with us, because when I was looking, in fact, a burger was less calories than some of the salads on the menu, which you would normally pick. But really, at the end of the day, all you really can eat if you want to stay below 500 or 600 calories is a salad with no dressing and grilled chicken. So there you go. But, you know, in all honesty, I think it is a good thing. But it's surely an eye-opener for lifestyle, and I think maybe the restaurants are going to have to start looking at their menus and create menus that do have those healthier choices with less calories, because most restaurant meals, your total calorie count would be gone in one meal. So, thank you.
Councillor Raz.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I, too, was really surprised at the differences of calories versus, well, there's also good fats and bad fats amongst the various foods. One of the first restaurants that I went to when one of the menus had all the nutritional information listed was Dave & Buster's. Big mistake. It's a fun place, but there's really not a lot you can select that's under 2,000 calories, including the salads. But it really is a bit of an eye-opener on what is good and what is bad. My question for staff, though, in order for us to, I guess, for lack of a better term, police this amongst the restaurants that we're already inspecting, does it add additional time and resources to what we're already doing?
So through the chair, thanks for the question. We do have a number of our inspectors, not yet all of our inspectors, trained to conduct the inspections, and we are actually doing them separately from the regular inspections. So we do have a cadre of staff that are specifically assigned to do this. There's a specific training program that has to be participated in, and if we can incorporate other elements of inspection, we will. We're new to this. We're figuring it out, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing this in as efficient a manner as possible, recognizing that the regulations are actually still very much in development.
Okay, and while I'm on menus, one of the things that I've noted in restaurants is that they don't have a lot of accessible menus available as of yet, and I don't know if that's something that the role of our inspectors will eventually take on from accessibility requirements, because I know it would be outside their scope of work, but I still think that the restaurant industry is lacking or falling behind in that area.
So you're quite right. Right now, it's outside of the scope of the current regulations. However, we are in regular conversations with our colleagues at the ministry, and we'd be happy to bring that up if that's of interest to you.
I think with our aging population, that would be, and those with visual disabilities would be helpful.
Will do.
Thank you.
Councillor Parrish.
And I'm going to offer a suggestion to the two ladies that are concerned about the calories. You have to learn to share. So you give half a burger to your friend, and you eat half a burger. That's how I do it. I dump stuff on George's plate all the time. And he just inhales it. He doesn't care about the calories. So I think this is going to hurt the restaurant industry because old girls like us are going to share. And that's my suggestion.
That's good advice.
Oh, thank you. If, with everyone's indulgence, if the chair could make a comment, I think as a suggestion, there should be a complimentary information available in these restaurants that talk about what kind of physical and amount of physical activity you need to counterbalance your. No, I seriously, if you had on that it was 1,500 calories for something on the menu, and that you would have to walk 12 kilometers to. I mean, we're trying to get the population to be more active. Making a relationship or correlation between your intake and your physical activity. So maybe we'll get there, but anyways, I guess we're at the point now where we will receive the report moved by Councillor Sato, seconded by Councillor Raz. All those in favor? That's carried. The extension of the appointment of the Associate Medical Officer of Health is here.
I'll move.
Moved by Councillor Miles, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. Are there any questions? All those in favor? That's carried. There is one item, there's one printed on the agenda and one addition. It's a communication from Debbie Wilcox, the Regional Clerk and Director of Durham Region. It is here for information. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Fonseca. There's no questions. All those in favor? That's carried. And the final item was the added item on opioids from Mayor Jeffrey and Mayor Crombie, if you wanted to speak to that.
Oops. Linda, do you want to go first? Doesn't matter. I think we're both here on the same issue. So this was an issue raised on the Big City Mayor's agenda, obviously in an epidemic crisis situation in Vancouver and many other cities. So I think we're just here asking if we're prepared. I mean, that we had 37 overdoses and deaths as it relate to opioids in the past 3 years. I'm sure they had that many last week in Vancouver. But nonetheless, we need a plan of action. So I was going to ask the Chief Medical Officer of Health if she had an update on what our plan is here and when it can come back, and whether we can make it a priority in the same way that other mayors of big cities across Canada.
So thank you. Again, through the chair. Thank you for raising this issue, Mayor Crombie and Mayor Jeffrey. The last time we did formally address council in respect of this issue was in the spring, May to be precise, May 2016. However, because we haven't addressed you formally doesn't actually mean that we haven't been working. We've been quite busy behind the scenes working with key partners on this issue, recognizing that while we may not be experiencing the same sort of crisis situation as is currently happening in Vancouver, we wanted to make sure that we were ready should that unfortunate eventuality happen here. So we do know that we have seen an increase with respect to the use of fentanyl and opioids, and there is an increase in overdose deaths, as you've already heard, particularly in Western Canada. We know that fentanyl and related opioids have been found in various communities and in drug seizures throughout Ontario. but again, it has not been quite as significant here in Peel. We have been taking action for many years on the issue of substance misuse and abuse, and also with respect to harm reduction. But given the current situation, Council should know that we've been working in particular on a couple of items, actually more than a couple, quite a few. What we've been focusing on is on improving health status assessment and on implementing a local opioid overdose surveillance system. We've always had very good relationships with the first responders and our emergency rooms in this community, and we've relied on that for many emerging issues. However, for this one, we felt that it warranted a more formalized approach and a formal sort of systematic mechanism so that we would be prepared should anything on the scale of which has been seen in Vancouver should arise here. We have also been working on urgent response planning, both internally and with external stakeholders, in case there is a potential sudden for the potential sudden increase in overdoses. We've been working with key stakeholders around making sure that we all know how to work with each other in the event of that sudden increase. And we've also actively been working on making more available naloxone, which is now approved in intranasal format. We expect to have that out and available through our own public health sites early this year through our needle exchange program. We know that naloxone is currently available in Peel throughout 91 pharmacies distributed throughout Peel region. They have far greater reach than our current clinic capacity might have, but we would like to augment that with our own services as well. So I think those are some of the highlights of our activities to date. We are convening a group of stakeholders in the next few weeks to more actively discuss the issue, particularly given the very, very bad December that was experienced in Vancouver. We have spoken to many of our other colleagues. We've spoken to colleagues in Vancouver. We've spoken to colleagues throughout the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. We feel quite informed with respect to what they have done. And we're trying to make sure that we're developing a strategy and approach that makes sense to our unique circumstances, hence our focus on making sure that we understand our current data and what might actually work here for the region of Peel.
Well, thank you for the update. And any, would you know when the plan may be coming back to Council for approval?
So the hope is that we'll have something back to Council for March. We have a meeting shortly in a few weeks. I expect we'll have a presentation. I believe we're targeting the Council meeting on the 9th of March.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Crombie. Mayor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo what Mayor Crombie spoke about, but it's pretty startling numbers when you listen to the Mayor. Mayor Gregor Robertson brought this up at our Big City Mayors with response to what's happening in Vancouver. And when I went back to look at what you'd presented to us on a table back in May, the numbers for Toronto were going in the wrong direction, extremely high. Toronto is, Mayor Tory is the one who actually put it on the agenda. So if Mayor Tory is a little anxious about this issue, he has need to be. Their numbers are going in the wrong direction, and we're 30 minutes on a good day away from Toronto. And when you look at the number of deaths, a public emergency was called in Vancouver last April. And when you have 914 overdose deaths in 1 year, that's pretty stark. And I think the challenge for us is we catch up to a lot of what's happening in our communities. So the better prepared we are as elected officials to make sure you have the adequate resources you need, but also to engage other levels of government, whether it's the province or the federal government. And certainly as Big City Mayors, we had an opportunity to talk to the Prime Minister about this issue and to make sure that you're managing and responding to crises in the community on a daily basis. But the challenge is when the crisis happens to you, the city resources are stretched, as are the regional resources. So I think when I look back at what the Mayor of Vancouver spoke about, he talked about fire and rescue services responding to almost 3,000 overdoses in 2016. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of our fire and rescue today in all of our communities, half of their calls are medical assist. If you made 100% of their calls medical assist, that would really overwhelm our ability to cope. So it's extremely startling. It's very fast moving, and I appreciate the work that your staff are doing to work with other levels of government and with each of our cities to keep us informed as to what we can do to assist and find some proactive preventative measures that will help us manage should this crisis grow even more dire certainly in Peel. So thank you for your update.
Thank you. Councillor Miles.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Mayors, for bringing this here today. Because I think the only way we're going to battle this is through prevention and public education, and so we're going to have to start talking about it and start talking about it soon. Just listening to the conversation, I can tell you that a lot of what has been said, I don't really understand. What is naloxone? And 91 pharmacies providing naloxone, and why would we want to also provide naloxone?
So through the chair, my apologies, Councillor Miles.
That's okay.
I'm speaking in medical talk. So naloxone is an agent that's available, and it actually reverses the effects of opioids. So when somebody has actually suffered an opioid overdose, if they are in the vicinity of someone who actually has the capacity to help them, the first thing they should do is call 911, and if they have naloxone available, they can administer that naloxone, and it reverses the impact of the opioids. So it is in those circumstances, it's a potential life-saving intervention.
Okay, so do our paramedics on our ambulances have this?
They do indeed.
They do. That's good news.
So the interesting thing is, until very recently, naloxone was only available in Canada in the injection format. It has just recently been approved in an intranasal format, so you can, it's not a very pretty term, but you can squirt it up somebody's nose, which is actually easier and perhaps more accessible to people than giving an injection. So we would like to be able to start distributing that life-saving intervention through our needle exchange program. Again, it's distributed through the province, and we'd like to be able to do that, and we're working with the province to have that capacity.
So fentanyl and opioids, I'm assuming, comes from opium. Can you just tell us a little bit about that drug? Like, is it a manufactured type of a drug chemical, and why is it such a huge killer?
So effectively what happens is it is a drug that is used. Fentanyl actually was something that was traditionally used in areas such as anesthesia. It's a natural depressant. And what happens is that there are many different mechanisms, but the most overt ones are that it does tend to suppress breathing. And so if you take too large a dose, it's a very effective pain or analgesic, pain mitigator. But if you take too large a dose, it can actually suppress your breathing. Okay. Hence, when you take the blocker for the drug, you're then able to breathe again. That's what causes, when you get into overdose situations, it could be a cardiac issue, but it could also, one of the major features with respect to taking these drugs is that it actually suppresses breathing.
So that's starting to make sense. So is there an age correlation between the deaths that are happening, not just in Vancouver, but in the Greater Toronto area?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Sorry, Councillor Miles.
So is it predominantly young people between the ages of 16 and 24? Is it middle-aged? Is it older? Is it drug addicts? Do we know that information? Like, who's dying?
So what I do have for Peel Region in particular is that in 2015, our coroner's report suggests that there were 53 deaths that involved either opioids alone or in combination with alcohol. I don't have the specific age breakdown here in front of me. As I understand it, though, more from an anecdotal perspective, it is sort of a young adult, not the youngest amongst our population, but in the adult population.
And why would they be taking it? Would they be taking it for pain?
So it's interesting. This is actually a multifactorial question and a multifactorial problem. So there are some people who get introduced to the use of opioids through very legitimate means. There are prescriptions that are provided for pain killers or pain managing medications for post-operative indications. So you've had a surgery or you've had a medical condition, it has a pain component to it, and analgesic medication is provided to deal with that pain, and sometimes it's of an opioid-like substance. So people often do get addicted to those drugs. So we know that there is that element, but there is also a significant illicit drug trade. So in the same way that people get drawn into the use of other illicit drugs, people get drawn into the use of illicit opioids as well. So whether it's through prescription medications and or through the illicit drug trade, those are the two major routes, I would say.
Okay. I think just a little bit of information that you've shared here today is really important information for everyone to understand. So I recognize that we are going to be doing a lot more research on this, and a report's coming back to council in March. But I think the sooner we get the kind of information that needs to be shared with the community, the better. So if I could simply encourage our medical officer of health to try and get that community education process going as quickly as possible. Okay.
Shall do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Thompson?
Yeah, I think is what Mayor Jeffrey said is one death is one too many, especially for something similar to this, and I appreciate you taking a proactive role. The one thing is fentanyl is an issue that I think gets addictive, and a lot of it's related to, it isn't because of drug users. What's happened is people have been hurt in the workplace or hurt in a traffic accident or had an accident of some kind. Let's use it that way. The challenge is they get older and arthritis starts to kick in. They're in a lot of pain, so what they do is they up the dosage. There is help. We have a clinic in Caledon that deals with this specifically, which I'm grateful for. And you talk to the ones that are recovering, they said the challenge is there's better drugs that aren't addictive, but they're so costly. The pharmaceutical, somehow we've got to get a better regulation on the pharmaceutical industry, because what it does is just creates the markets for fentanyl and different ones, because it's as much as it's on the market, it's still one of the cheapest abilities for people to get to. And a lot of people don't understand, because a lot of people have a medical plan or a drug plan. A lot of private businesses or people in the workplace that have been hurt don't have the ability to have access to a drug plan. So they're getting by. And when you start buying fentanyl secondhand, it's been tampered with and everything else. And this is where it gets to be extremely addictive. And I'm just saying, I understand where we're going, but is there any way, too, that we can reach out to the pharmaceutical industry to say, what are you guys doing to make this readily accessible, especially for the ones that don't have a drug plan, so we're not getting people addicted to the wrong kind of drugs?
So at the local level, that might be more challenging for us to take on. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't raise it. There is, however, a provincial strategy that's been launched in respect of opioids. And my understanding is that that level of prevention, talking to the pharmaceutical industry, and in fact talking to the medical profession about ways to manage pain, whether it's because of surgery, injuries, other medical conditions, what have you. I think those elements are to be discussed as part of that strategy, and I'm certainly happy to raise that at the provincial tables where we participate.
Maybe I'm just saying maybe that's something the advocacy group can take back too and champion as well. Thank you. Another one for you, Jackie.
Thank you. Mayor Crombie.
Thank you. Just I had a thought that we hadn't addressed the issue of carfentanil either, and it's even the more potent form, I think. And I don't know the impact of that in the Peel area or in Vancouver, but it's been described to me as an elephant tranquilizer, so even much more deadly.
Indeed. So there are synthetic opioids that have been developed and that we have heard about. And yes, there have been seizures of products like that, carfentanil being one of them, in various jurisdictions throughout Canada. To my knowledge, it has not been seen in Peel, but I would defer to my colleagues on Peel Regional Police. They're probably more knowledgeable in that regard than I would be. That being said, you're quite right. There are different opioids that are of different strengths. And when you look at something like carfentanil, my understanding is that a dose that's literally the size of a grain of sand may be too much for any one average human to handle. It's extremely potent, and the problem is that when you're dealing with products on the illicit drug trade, you're not really sure what you're getting. Yeah. This is a very major concern. You know, the product, there isn't a product quality check. Nobody really knows what they're getting. So it is something that we are keeping an eye out for, and that we're talking to our colleagues in Vancouver about, so that we can, as a larger community, figure out, well, what can we do? What is the best way to manage this? And I would suggest to you that this is an issue that actually requires response at all levels of government. You know, with respect to trade, we would have to defer to our partners at the federal level. This is their area and their bailiwick.
So in addition to the pain relief medication that fentanyl provides, these are also street drugs and sort of the newest candy on the market after heroin and crack cocaine, and now we see this rash of fentanyl, carfentanil that's being sold for drug abuse, I guess. Well, thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. As we said, the loss of one life is one too many. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think our medical officer said it well. It's all levels of government, because you need the federal level of the federal government to get involved with the pharmaceutical companies. You need maybe something with the OMA to speak to the OMA, because they have all their members, the physicians, who are treating a lot of these folks who have these issues with pain and that. So, and I know that most physicians are not eager to write prescriptions for these narcotics. I mean, there's got to be proven fact that the patient does have an issue, and really there's stuff to back it up. So might be one way is to get the OMA involved and get the physicians online and on board, and get the province involved. But I think Mayor Crombie said it, it's not, I don't think it's the doctors who are writing these prescriptions is the problem, is that it's on the street. And when it's on the street, how do you deal with it? That I think is the problem. Because doctors are not ready to give out these narcotics. They don't hand them out to just anybody that walks through their doors. But it's the street, and I don't know how you control it on the street. We've got issues even in our own community. I know I brought in a friend of mine, and he's opened an addictions clinic in Bolton, and I'll tell you, it's sort of a catch-22, because he's like super busy. And on that sense, it's terrible that he's super busy and needing more people to come in to treat individuals with these addictions. But then the flip side, it's great that he's there being able to help these people, you know, and that may be something that you want to reach out to these clinicians who are treating folks with addictions to get a handle on it, and to sort of work with them on how do you do these things, because they are seeing patients who are getting the stuff off the streets, or on the streets.
So through the chair, Councillor Groves, I do agree with you that there is an issue that we need to deal with in respect of the illicit drug trade. But as I understand it, on a national level, our prescription rate for opioids is, I think, the second highest per capita when we look across all countries. We do need to be mindful of the fact that there is a role that physicians can play, and at a local level, we've already communicated on a number of occasions within the last few months with our local health professionals and physicians in particular around the opioid crisis that has been seen throughout Canada and what we're doing about it here in Peel, again, so that it's on their radar as well, and they're conscious of what they might be able to do to help out with respect to the situation.
Right. And I know, having a clinic, owning a clinic, I know that patients, what they do, if there's a new clinic that opens up in a neighborhood where you don't really know what's happening, they try to come in and try to get some of these narcotics. So, you know, that's an issue too, because you have a lot of walk-in clinics that are opening up, and that's a problem too. So anyway, thank you.
Dr. Davila, will your report in March address the comments that are captured around the table today? Okay, thank you. Councillor Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just thought, because I had the opportunity to attend the Big City Mayors representing Mayor Crombie, I was there with Mayor Jeffrey, and I heard the presentation that Mayor Gregor Robertson gave. It's just absolutely staggering. It's almost surreal in one sense, but just in terms of the messaging, to piggyback on what Mayor Crombie and Mayor Jeffrey have said, the messaging that came out of the presentation was, number one, this is a public health crisis, that it is a public health crisis that, yes, Vancouver and BC is experiencing. However, alarmingly, and as also was brought up, because it was on the agenda, it's spread across the country as a national crisis, but it's a public health crisis that there really isn't any specific age. It's impacting prescription drug users for a variety of reasons, a variety of ages. Yes, it is also impacting those on the streets, a street drug and illicit drug use, but it is a public health crisis, and that municipalities cannot do this alone. As Mayor Jeffrey pointed out, the pressures that are put on municipalities and first responders, and even from a public health educational standpoint and resources, it is staggering. And because it is moving so fast, to Councillor Grove's point, the municipalities, the provinces, and the federal government need to be all on the same page with a strategy moving forward. And it is essential, and Dr. Davila, I'm glad you talked about data. I think the message at the provincial table, that data, and that came forward through Mayor Robertson, that that data has to be tied to the municipal strategy. It is absolutely, or the regional strategy, it is absolutely essential, because in terms of saving lives, is extremely important, but not only in saving lives. I think with the naloxone, and especially because it is now out there, it's a positive thing because it is saving lives, but the training of those and having data on those that have taken naloxone over and over, and the after effects of the naloxone. I guess that once it's administered, and if the life is saved, whoever is administering it, it might be somebody that's from the general public that's not necessarily a first responder or trained to administer, like professionally trained to administer. I guess whoever is being treated, and this could be a traditional, or somebody that has been using drugs, or it could be somebody that's taking a prescription painkiller, for example, if it's in their own home. When they come out of the having the naloxone, there can be very adverse effects because right away they go into a withdrawal. So those types of things. So anyway, the messaging clearly is that it is a public health crisis, and the data that is collected currently by the provinces needs to be shared in terms of the strategies moving forward. So it's good to hear that in Peel and in Ontario, we're already at the table. And if that can be brought back in the report in terms of the strategy moving forward, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the mayors for bringing this forward. We've had a good discussion about that today, and the medical officer and staff address your concerns when the report comes back in March. Someone like to move in second? Councillor Shaughnessy. Oh, sorry. Obvious ones. Mayor Crombie, Mayor Jeffrey, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you now.
Thank you. That brings us to items related to human services. Councilor Medeiros, if you'd chair this section, please.
Thank you, Chair Dale. First of all, as Chair of Human Services, it is my pleasure, before we go to item 1, it's my pleasure to recognize Adoma Patterson. Adoma, can you please stand and be acknowledged? Many council members know Adoma from her role as the advisor on the Peel Poverty Reduction Strategy and her work on the transit pilot. Adoma recently presented at the House of Commons an innovative approaches to poverty reduction. Adoma is an excellent leader, public speaker, and champion for people. She has represented the region of Peel in the media on several occasions, including CBC, Metro Morning, and on Rogers Cable. In her volunteer life, Adoma is the president of the Jamaican Canadian Association. On February 6th, she will be representing the association on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. I am highlighting Adoma's work today as she's featured in the February edition of Toronto Life magazine as one of the inspiring civic leaders for public sector and community leadership. Please join me in congratulating Adoma on this much-deserved recognition. She is truly an inspiring civic leader. Please. As we go on to our first agenda of the day, you have the report in front of you called Centralized Waiting List for Housing, Establishment of a Service Manager, Local Rule and Revisions to Policy and Procedures. I'm going to hand this over to Commissioner Sheehy as she requested the opportunity to present a few slides to provide additional context on this report, specifically around the local rule to establish asset limits relating to the administration of subsidized housing in Peel Region. Commissioner?
Good morning, Chair and members of Council. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to provide some additional background information to this report, as was stated, specifically around the implementation of a local rule regarding asset limits. With me today is Jennifer McLaughlin, our Manager of Housing Programs. Since 2012, with the new Housing Services Act, municipal service managers have had the authority to establish a local rule that limits the amount of assets a household may have and still be eligible for rent geared to income assistance. Just as our other municipal colleagues are doing, in Peel, we are increasing our focus on using our limited resources to address those in the community that have the greatest need. So as such, we've done a municipal scan. On slide 3, you can see that we've highlighted a sampling of 8 other service managers. As you can also see, there's a vast difference in asset limits, ranging from no limits at all in Halton, York, and Toronto, and currently in Peel, to $30,000 in Grey County, to $100,000 for singles and $200,000 for couples and families in Perth Stratford. There is no magic number. The asset limits that we want to work with are $50,000 for singles and $75,000 for couples and families. These are in the mid-range, and they give us an opportunity to roll out the new rule, better understand it, before making any drastic changes. What is an asset? Well, basically, the legislation defines an asset by telling you what it isn't. So you can see on the screen that there's a sample of listing of assets that would be excluded from the calculation of a household asset limit. If there was an immediate implementation of this policy, so if new asset limits were put in place of $50,000 for singles and $75,000 for couples and families, applicants currently on the waiting list, there would be a reduction in the waiting list of at least 258 households. In other words, these households would no longer be eligible for rent geared to income subsidy and would be taken off the waiting list. What we do know is that this is a very low number, and it only reflects applicants that voluntarily self-declared assets. In Peel, as to date we have not considered asset limits, we haven't been collecting that information. So I'm not in a good place to be able to give you an estimate of who is on our waiting list and the assets that they have. Thanks. The report takes the position that we should grandfather in this change and only make it effective for new applicants to the waiting list.
However, once the policy is finalized, as the service manager, we will begin to collect the asset information on all applicants on the waiting list and all households currently in receipt of rent geared to income subsidy. This will enable staff to better understand who is on the waiting list and who is in our buildings and what their financial situation is. At the 1-year mark, we would return to council as we would now have the data and the analysis to propose further policy changes if needed. I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Our first person is Councillor Raz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the clarification. I was struggling yesterday when I was reading this on what was deemed an asset. And certainly you want to give people an opportunity to make their lives better, whether it's RSPs or collect assets, but not put themselves in a disadvantage where if they still truly need it, that they can't get on the list. So I'm hoping you can circulate the presentation, and only so I can take a better look at what the typical assets are that you've decided. And also to clarify, in terms of next steps, you're going to be verifying information for people already within the system?
So through the chair, just to address the first comment, the presentation is in your package on top of the table there.
Oh, okay.
So as a first step, in terms of implementing this, we will be collecting that information from anyone new who applies to the waiting list, and we will be using that to determine whether they are eligible for rent geared to income subsidy, so whether they should actually be on the waiting list. Going forward, whenever we have a file contact with those individuals who currently are on the waiting list or in our buildings, we'll be collecting the same information for analysis purposes.
So we currently don't, I think it's currently self-reporting for the people who are within the current system?
So for those applicants that are on the waiting list, it's totally voluntary if they want to self-declare. For individuals living in our buildings, the housing providers do collect that information, but as a service manager, they don't report it to us.
Is that a gap in the system?
I think if we had access to that information as the service manager, we could make better decisions.
Is that something that you're going to pursue or on your radar screen?
Yes, that's definitely part of implementing the new policy.
Okay. Next question. Under the number of building selections, I guess I was also concerned if you are somebody on the waiting list and in great need, why they would limit themselves to such a small number of selections.
So through the chair, that's a question that we ask ourselves as well. And part of wanting to tighten up on these policies is to ensure that the resources and the waiting list is focused on those people of greatest need.
Okay. And there are opportunities, it's not just because they're in a certain geographic area that they did that small number of selections. There are I'm sure there are other issues at play. I just couldn't
Through the
speculate.
chair, it can be because of a specific geographic area that they are focused on, but often it's just a particular building that they like, that they've seen, and they think that's where they'd like to live. Is there anything you want to add? No?
Okay, and I think that's aligned with, I also didn't realize that people could make such specific preferences for the building that they're choosing.
So that is a made in Peel policy.
Okay.
It's not common across the entire sector, and that's part of the reason that we'd like to eliminate that policy. We don't want individuals to be so specific to say, well, I don't want carpeting in my unit unless there's a medical reason for it.
Right. No, I think that's a good improvement. And the tracking going forward, the whole purpose of this is not to get people off the waiting list. It's to address those who truly need it most to make sure they're at the top of the list. That's the sense that I'm getting.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I look forward to the report back to Regional Council to see what the effects that this policy will have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Miles?
Well, in our strategic plan, one of the priorities is to reduce our wait list at Peel Housing, and I guess in my mind, I was thinking it was by providing more affordable housing. But I think the information that you have brought to us is really so important and key for us as a region to try and figure out what the real needs are out there. My one question that I had was in regards to if I'm on a wait list and there is an availability of a unit that meets my requirements, and I turn it down, what happens?
Through the chair. Basically, what happens under the Housing Services Act, you have the right to refuse up to 3 offers of housing while on the waiting list, even if that is the building that you've chosen. So you can refuse a unit up to 3 times, and then you are removed from the wait list.
And that's legislated?
It is.
And we can't change that?
No, we cannot at this time. And during some of our analysis, those that did refuse a unit, just to give you some background, had already waited 6.4 years before viewing a unit and then refusing it. Those that then refused a second unit, which was obviously a smaller number of people, waited an additional 2.4 years before refusing that second unit. So altogether,
It's actually 8.4.
Sorry, thank you. Altogether, it was 8.4 years, and they had refused 2 units and were still on the wait list.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so how many are we talking about in that kind of category where?
I think there were actually 663 households that refused a first unit, and 213 of those 663 refused a second unit.
And over what period of time?
That was only from records that we had started to keep since devolution. And this was also reported in the October 27th report to council on some of the statistics on the centralized waiting list.
Yeah, I remember talking about it, but so that's pretty new. So, are we looking at perhaps petitioning the province to allow us to do something about this?
Yes, we currently have a service managers housing network that we work with OMSA, the Ontario Municipal Social Services Association, as well as HSC, Housing Services Corporation, where we do have the opportunity to speak to the ministry and bring forward some changes that we're looking at. Actually, under the Housing Services Act, we have been given much more flexibility. So we are starting to push where we can, where some of those areas are gray. But this is one with the refusals where they have stood by that people have 3 offers of refusal.
So they've continued to stand by that?
Yes, correct.
I mean, to me, it just seems one of those obvious ones that if you've been on a wait list for 6 years and 8 years and you're refusing housing, you obviously don't need housing. I mean, that's sort of... then through you, Mr. Chair, to Chair Dale, I really think this particular point is something that, as a region, we really need to take a firm stand on, especially given the fact that we have one of the largest wait lists, or the largest wait list in Ontario?
Not the largest. But
not the largest. Okay, one of the largest wait lists in Ontario, and perhaps we could have a resolution written up for members of council for consideration based on some of the strategic priorities that we do have as a region, and I think because this one is key, and to me it's a no-brainer. If you're refusing housing, you don't need it. So, if I could, through you to the chair. Could I simply ask that it be brought back to our next regional council meeting to give you the opportunity to develop a motion that has some of the reasoning behind it? So through to the clerk, what do I need to do in order to make this, you probably want me to write something and not just direction?
I reckon this should be direction.
Pardon me?
Direction would be fine.
Okay, if I could then ask that that direction be taken. Okay, thank you.
Really noted. Thank you, Councillor Miles. Mayor Crombie.
Thank you. Some of my questions Gail has asked, but on the authenticity of those lists, so we ask them to go back every 2 years and report back that they still qualify. Is that correct?
Actually, through the chair, it's annual, on an annual basis.
Because it said at least once every 24-month period,
Yes.
I thought.
We
Okay.
choose to gather that information more frequently, so annually.
So do we ever go back and understand why people are on the wait lists for 10 years? They've made other accommodations for themselves and their families. I mean, we hear people are on the wait list for 20 years, and we've brought that number down. I think we're used 7 now. But why would someone live their life on a wait list of 10, 20 years and then not take a unit when it became available? Do we have an understanding of why that occurs?
So through the chair, I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Jennifer. So we recognize that there are issues across the board with the wait list anyways. I can be on every wait list in every municipality in Ontario if I choose to do so, which of course inflates the total number.
Okay. Oh,
I
that's
may be on the wait list in Toronto, but I really want to live in Peel because I'm waiting to move back and be closer to my family.
Hey, Janice, hold right there. So if we have 12,000 plus on the wait list, are we double counting?
Across
Are
the
those
province,
individuals?
there is double counting, yes. We don't have the ability to say to you that there are 2,000 people on our wait list that are also on Toronto and Hamilton's wait list. So definitely across the province, there is double counting of people on wait lists.
Okay, and do we understand why they're on so long and then never take a unit?
So we did collect some information on why people refuse and why they refuse
And
an
it's
offer.
personal preference, but if, it doesn't make sense that they're on a wait list for 10 years or used to be 20 and not take a unit. So something else is going on there.
So in the October 27th report, there was a little bit of information as to why people refuse units when they're offered to them. And the highest reason was that they were no longer interested in the building or the area. They thought the unit was too small. They didn't want to move at that time. So I think the conclusion that we start to draw is that there are people on the waiting list that perhaps are not in a dire need for housing. They may be happy with where they live right now, but it's a bit of a stretch for them financially. And so they wait for the right unit to come along. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Well, I was just going to say, based on the administration of the wait list to date, we have not been focused on the case management component, which is something that we're hoping to get to. We have always utilized the wait list as a distinction of housing need, when really there are other issues, as you say, that are impacting this.
It could be close to their job, or their children are in a school in that area.
Absolutely.
Family lives close by.
Absolutely.
There could be any number of issues.
Yeah, and there definitely could be. And some people want to live where they want to live. So they might currently be in a social housing building and they want to stay there. You find this especially with seniors, where they don't want to move out of their communities, and that's why some more of these rent supplements, choice-based, that type of thing, really helps in those cases because we can keep them in the buildings that they're in. But so there are a lot of different factors that we're starting to try to understand on the wait list.
Perfect. So I see Councillor Parrish is on the board after me, so I know she's going to tell you about all the great initiatives we're considering in Mississauga, so I'll leave that for her airtime. Finally, so if they just expand their selections, it could reduce the wait times by what quantum?
Unfortunately, we don't have the technology to actually look at that. We're hoping, though, that the more breadth they have of buildings, that they'll be able to get housed earlier. We've never done that analysis before, but we're assuming that the more choices that they have, the likelihood it is going to reduce their time on the wait list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Crombie. Councillor Parrish.
Contrary to the segue from Mayor Crombie, I'm going to ask questions. I'm not going to boast about what we're trying to do. First of all, I support the idea of looking at household assets. Somebody's applied for social housing, they've got an antique Corvette in the garage that they can't part with. They would part with the Corvette before they would get into social housing. So I applaud your pursuing that. The other thing is, I would only allow health reasons only for refusing a unit. And if it's a provincial mandate to allow them to refuse 3 times, I think we have to do some serious work there, because the paperwork involved And the time wasted and the money wasted on 3 refusals or 2 refusals is ridiculous. We could be putting that money into rent subsidies. So I would suggest we do a very strongly worded letter and we base it on economics and say we can do a lot more with the money that we're getting from the province if we don't have to waste 1 million hours doing this sort of sorting. That makes no sense to me. The other thing is, if they accept a lesser unit, something that's not ideal, do they have an option to upgrade to the one that they wanted, or once they're in there, that's it, they're off the list?
Basically, what happens is within that building, they can go on their internal transfer list. If they're requesting a transfer to another building, which is interesting as well, because they're already in receipt of subsidy, they go back on our wait list.
Okay. I probably shouldn't tell this story, but my mom I had her on a wait list. She was in a very expensive seniors home and her Alzheimer's got really bad. So we got on the wait list for the region to do a placement. And I had picked 5 nice buildings, obviously the newer ones. I wasn't getting anywhere. So I called the lady that was my caseworker and I said, give me the 5 crappiest buildings, the oldest ones. I just want to get this thing moving. And she got very nervous and she said, don't do any changes today. And I said, why not? She says, I can't tell you. And then the next day she got placed in one of the original 5 buildings and it was wonderful. She had fabulous care. And as far as the multiple applications around the province, that's bizarre as well. And the way the food bank does that, so people don't go to 5 food banks, is they just do it on postal code on registration. So I think Chair Dale should include that in our presentation to the province to say this again is paperwork in 4 or 5 locations. And it's sucking up money that could be directly applied to housing people. So that has to be addressed. That's ridiculous. And that's not our control. That's obviously the province's.
Through the chair, if I can just make a comment on that. When housing was devolved to the municipality in 2001, and under the Housing Services Act of 2011, we have a lot more flexibility as a service manager. So our rules may be different than when you're applying in London, for example. So another municipality could have many priorities, whereas in Peel, we don't have as many priorities. So it gets a little, I guess, administrative. If we were going to go to one centralized waiting list for the entire province, I'm not quite sure how that would work, but you could have selections in different municipalities as long as you met their local requirements.
I would go the other way. Rather than having it open provincially, I would say each municipality, you're on one list. Once you're on that list, you can't go on another list. It should be fairly easy to follow with your social insurance number or something else. I don't see how that can be terribly complex. Central database, you're in a list in Peel, you're not going on another list. You go to apply at another location, you come up on the screen, no, you've already applied. So you either take yourself off Peel and we'll take you in London, or you stay on Peel, you don't go on 2. And the paperwork involved in all that is bizarre. I am a strong advocate of social housing, so don't get me wrong, I sound like a meanie today. But what you really want to do is get the right people, the people with the highest needs, and you need to cut down on your paperwork and all your administration so that we can put more money into housing the people who have the greatest needs. So anything we can do to trim that, I'm happy to send in some more suggestions. I think we should present a really good paper to the province and say, this is how we can fix a lot of people's problems all over the province. I can't believe the incompetence, but I got mad at the province at a health meeting last week and got a nasty phone call from a certain cabinet minister, so I'll have to be careful today. But I will write you a private little note, and hopefully it will be included in Chair Dale's letter. Thank you very much. This was very educational for me.
Thank you, Councillor Parrish. Councillor Fonseca.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just with regards to refusing, I'm in support. I'm looking forward to the report being brought back. But just with regards to refusing a unit, so you touched on it, is seniors. So I've experienced more and more calls around seniors, but usually a lot of times there's maybe language issues and there's family members advocating for them. But in terms of finding other solutions, I think it's great if they can stay wherever they are in place, because I think the supports around them in that neighborhood where they currently are, why they have, if they've been able to choose to live there, are just, I mean, they're extremely important as tied to the housing. But one of the things I'm finding, I'll use the example because of Ward 3, there's a very large Ukrainian community. And if, we'll give the example of a senior waiting, they may refuse, but the reason why they're refusing is because if they knew, like, and in terms of being on different lists, so we're right close to the Etobicoke border. There's a huge Ukrainian population in Etobicoke and in the west end of Toronto. And if they knew there was a unit there within that Ukrainian population, that might be an option that they would choose, or even if it's further away from where they currently are, but they know that they're the cultural group that they are, because there's ties with their family into that community in other ways, whether it's through the church, whether it's through a women's league, whether it's through family schooling, whether it's through different groups. But I find that that's one of the main reasons why seniors are refusing, is because it's not so much they're saying, I'm not satisfied, that's not the best quality of units. It's more about all the supports that their family knows that they have to, and they want to make sure that they can continue to provide for that person. And so, I don't know, in that way, I'm not really opposed to if data can be shared from, I don't know about if it's better that somebody is on, obviously if they're on multiple lists, that's not a great thing. But if there's a way that data can be shared to say, oh, this person is here, but they know that the supports in this unit here would meet them, I don't know. But I'm finding with seniors that is like when you actually ask them, why are you refusing? You know, there's a unit here for you, and it comes up that a lot of times it's really more about the supports around them that are extremely important. And a lot of times it's tied to the community, and that community is providing many of the supports that takes pressure off other services that we would be providing in Peel.
So if I may, through the chair, a refusal only counts if it's a building you've selected. So if we have a new building opening and we say, would you like to come and see it, and the person says, no, that's not a unit I'm interested in, then their refusal doesn't count.
Okay, well, we don't have a lot of new buildings.
Sorry, I should clarify that.
Great. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Moore.
Who knew that maintaining a priority list was so complicated? It really is a dog's breakfast, because there's not only folks on the list from other municipalities in Ontario, there's people on our list from out of province because they've sought work in another province, but their family and support system, you know, particularly as in the seniors population as they approach retirement age, they want to come back here because that's where they want to retire, is in Peel. And I understand that. So this is not just a provincial list. It really crosses the country. If somebody went to Alberta to work or went to, Quebec or another province, but want to come back here. Do we know how many people are on the list who are currently in a subsidized housing environment in another municipality? So they're on the list, but in actual fact, they're not. Their needs are already being met, but they want to come here. Because if their name is on a list in several municipalities and they take the one that, to get in the door, do we know how many of those folks might be?
Through the chair, if I may, we can definitely find that out for you. We did not drill down that far for the report that we did in October. Okay. What we do know is that there are approximately 14% that are on our list that are already in receipt of rent geared to income subsidy, and there are also an additional 2.25% that are getting housing allowance.
Okay. So chances are, I mean, just extrapolating, they may be in another municipality receiving those same kinds of supports and on our list here. And the other thing is, I know that particularly as people approach retirement age, they put their name on the list today. So while the list might be, 6 years, in actual fact, some of those people on the list are 5 years away from retiring, but are afraid if they don't get their name on the list today, that when they need it, it won't be there. So I'd be interested in knowing how many of those folks turned down the first two because they're not at that point where they're ready to take it because they're still working, and end up taking the third or having to go back on the list because, they're still 2 years away. But this has been a real eye-opener today. It's not a matter of just looking at how many people are on the list. There's a whole bunch of other moving parts to this. But that's not what the community hears. And so they're really not hearing the full story, but the full story is too big to get out there. It's like, solving the environment. It's too big. We can just deal with what we know. So, okay, thank
Through
you.
the chair, we did bring that report back in October, which provided some demographic information, and we intend to keep doing that because only by drilling down and really understanding who's on the list and who's in our buildings will we have a sense of what the true need is.
Terrific. Thank you.
Councillor Miles?
If I could, Commissioner, how long have you been with us at the region?
I started on March 28th last year.
Of 2006. I just want to point out to Council that our Commissioner of Human Services has really taken our priorities to heart and commend her. Today is only one of a number of reports that we've been seeing since the Commissioner joined us at the Region of Peel that really is addressing the whole issue of housing and homelessness in a very professional and comprehensive way, and I just want to thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Councillor Miles, if you can move with the report.
I would be happy to.
Second by Councillor Raz. All in favor? Thank you. And lastly, before I turn it back over, I'd like to hand it back to Commissioner Shea to provide us with an update on the new Brampton Queen Street Youth Shelter.
Jordan, don't flatter yourself. I don't even know you exist, dear.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to inform Regional Council that the new Brampton Queen Street Youth Shelter will officially open on Monday, January the 30th. Between tomorrow and Monday, youth aged 16 to 24, currently in the adult shelter, will move over to the new shelter, and any youth who present themselves at the shelter after tomorrow will be admitted. The shelter has a capacity for 30 youth in total, with one building designated for males, and one building designated for females, consisting of double rooms with bathrooms. There is also a single room in each building that has been designated for vulnerable youth. There will be programming on site, including employment resource rooms, housing workers, Ontario Work staff, Our Place Peel outreach staff, and Salvation Army caseworkers. In addition, there is an employment resource room that will have computers, a fax and a photocopier. There are laundry services, and a lounge in the main room and a smaller lounge in the women's building. There will be on-site staff in all three buildings 24 hours a day and security staff on-site from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. I would be somewhat remiss, however, if I didn't mention that there is still some work to be done. Addressing accessibility by installing ramps, finalizing the security audit by installing more cameras, finishing some repairs in the backyard, and bringing in additional computers is still the work that we are required to do. But we are almost there. I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. That's really great news, and And I just take this opportunity to thank staff again for pulling this together and working in a collaborative manner. Thank you very much. Mayor, Linda Jeffrey.
I don't have any questions. I was able to go on a tour yesterday afternoon, and I want to thank Regional Council for acting so swiftly. I think this must be some kind of record for Regional Council to make a decision and have it implemented and to see something on the ground. And the way we treat our most vulnerable is a sign of the strength of this community. And what I can tell you is the staff that are there are levitating with excitement and enthusiasm and the kind of support that they're going to provide our most vulnerable youth at a really critical time at the beginning of their life will really help, I think, put lots of young people and their families in a much better place. So I just wanted to say thank you. I know I have been badgering you and harassing you, and I really appreciate how quickly and how professionally all of our partners have been behaving, and I just want to say thank you to all of the partners that really stepped forward. And it is a work in progress, and this is clearly an interim step for us, but it's a great interim step, and for us to go from 0 to 30 is pretty historic. So well done and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jeffrey. Councillor Miles.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to echo the comments of the mayor. And if anybody is interested in, I managed to get there at 10 to 5, just as the commissioner was leaving, but I did get a quick tour. And if you're interested in seeing what the rooms are like, you can go on and join my Twitter feed, because I did tweet some pictures of the actual rooms. And you know what? It's not luxurious, but it's warm, it's friendly, it's clean, it's home-like, and it has all of the amenities that a young person could want, or any one of us could want, if we were in need of a warm place to lay our head, and in addition to the resources. So again, I wanted to thank staff for acting so quickly on this particular issue.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. So there are no further questions or comments. I'll hand it back over to you, Chair Dale.
Thank you very much. That moves us to items related to enterprise programs and services. Councillor Fonseca, if you chair this section, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 9.1 is the 2017 temporary borrowing bylaw to meet expenses of the municipality. Moved by Mayor Crombie, seconded by Mayor Thompson. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. We did item 9.2 already. Item 9.3 is a proclamation. This is for information, a proclamation of the Retail Business Holiday Act provision. Moved by Councillor Yanika, seconded by Councillor McFadden. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Items of communication. I think I'll move 10.1 and 10.4 together. This is the first. 10.1 is a letter carried to Gorder, General Manager, Town Clerk, Corporate Services, Town of Caledon, with regards to Bill 39, Aggregate Resources and Mining Modernization Act. This is for receipt, and 10.4 is related to that. A letter dated December 26th from Lorelei Friesen, Acting Manager, Editorial Correspondence Services Unit, Ministry of Natural Resources, with regards to Bill 39, Aggregate Resources and Mining Modernization Act. Seeing no comments, moved by Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Shaughnessy. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 10.2, this is for receipt as well. From Carrie DeGorder, General Manager, Town Clerk, Corporate Services, Town of Caledon, with regards to provincial review of the Ontario Municipal Board. Moved by Councillor Innes, seconded by Councillor Shaughnessy. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 10.3 is receipt recommended. This is a letter from Caitlin Workman, Press Secretary, Office of the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, and Jeremy Van Loon, Press Secretary, Alberta Environment Parks. This is a news release with regards to protecting biodiversity and expanding Canada's network of protected areas. Receipt recommended. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see your name there. I was so enthralled in the what is in the letters, the content of the letters.
So I just wanted, if I may, have Council's indulgence on the proclamation of the Retail Business Holidays Act provision. We will be reporting back to Council with a much more detailed report on this. We anticipate it is going to be the policy changes we're going to be asking Council to make are going to attract a lot of attention from a lot of groups who are concerned about shopping on religious holidays, on national holidays, and so on. And we are contemplating recommending to Council that we do some consultation on this before we report back, so that you are fully informed on what the community's reaction may be. So the report won't be coming back soon. Probably it'll be towards the end of the year before we can get at the policy, but we'll do the consultation in the short term. In the meantime, we do know that we have some applications in the pipeline coming to us, which Council will have to consider under the old rules. And I just wanted to give Council a heads up on that, and we may be asking you to participate in some of that public consultation so that you're fully informed before we bring the policy back.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Councillor Pleshy, did you have you're moving 10.3? Okay, moved by Councillor Pleshy, seconded by Councillor Moore. All in favor?
Is worrisome.
Any opposed? Carried. And
Thank you. Items related to Public Works, Councillor Starr.
Okay. The first item is 11.1, and just to bring forward, I think, Janet, you want to speak to this item? I think the date's also changing to April 1st, so maybe you can let us know what's happening overall. Thank you.
Right. Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Yes, staff notified me this morning, and looking at the rollout and enforcing and educating around this new water bylaw, that they'd like some additional time. So we're going to push the implementation date to April 1st with Council's indulgence, and we've got a revised recommendation up on the screen. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Moved by Councillor Kovac, seconded by Councillor Nika. All in favor? Carried. Item 11.2 is the amendments to traffic bylaw 12/2013. Any questions, comments? Moved by Councilor Madero, second by Councilor Sprovieri. All in favor? Carried. 11.3 engineering services, and I see a couple of folks on the board. Councilor or Mayor Thompson.
Thank you. And what I'm going to say is finally here. My gosh, I'm going to tell you, out of all the regional roads, this is probably the biggest bottleneck we have. Both, I see Councillor Sprovieri's on here too, because I'm sure, and I know Councillor Groves and I know Councillor Downey would have been on the board as well, because this is a huge challenge. The one thing I'm grateful for is that we're going from 2-lane and it's taken so long. 4-lane isn't good enough. I see you're talking 6-lane. I'm wondering if is that where the cost increases, or is it the bridge? Because I know that bridge has been a real impediment.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So in general, the overall project has reduced by $3 million because we're doing the 6-lane right away instead of going 4 and then 6. So, but because of scope changes from going to 4 to 6 and some of the other things identified in the report, the particular contract with IBI that's helping us with the design has increased. So their contract. In getting into the bridge and specifics, we kind of anticipated that question, so I already have Gary down here as the accountable director to speak to it.
This is the best deal, if you're asking.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. It's not that the structures are necessarily new. Maybe just to give council a little bit of a background. Back 10 years plus ago, we used to do sort of symmetrical road widenings that would go 2 to 4, and then 10 years later, 5 years later, 4 to 6. And in part that was because the Environmental Assessment Act, the environmental assessments were valid for 5 years. So the legislation changed to give you a 10-year window to do the work. And at the same time, around 2007, we changed our methodology to do EAs to the ultimate, which really afforded you opportunity to build bridges and culverts to the ultimate configuration and save money rather than going and doing an interim widening and then the ultimate widening when the property came available and a new EA was completed. So this was a bit of a hangover project from the old way. The EA was done prior to 2007. And as we got into it, we recognized there was opportunities to save money and minimize disruptions during construction if we amended the EA and then did the detailed design for the ultimate and built as much of it as we could now. So on the south side of the road, we have all the property developments happening, and we're able to build the eastbound lanes, the ultimate configuration, the ultimate boulevard, ultimate, utility locations, that sort of thing. On the north side of the road, development hasn't happened yet, but we do have the property to build the ultimate through lanes. So we're building the 3 through lanes now. The ultimate structures, so we don't have to do another widening in the future. And the next project really will just entail going in, putting in the turn lanes when we know where the intersections are, putting the ultimate utility locations in and a proper boulevard treatment. So it has afforded us good opportunities to come in with some savings and minimize disruption in the longer term.
Well, I'm going to tell you the residents in that area will thank you once it's completed. The challenge is too bad it's 2018, not 2017. But it's a huge bottleneck, and I know it uses up a lot of our resources too. The OPP and Peel region spend most of their time there just because people just can't wait. They take risks, and then all of a sudden everything stops. So thank you for actually seeing that we need to get it to 6-lane right away. I understand that. Thank you for the clarification, but I definitely know that this is something that just isn't going to go away until we get it built. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Sprovieri.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions. The increase in price, how can we be assured that this is a good deal for the region? Because it's a substantial increase. So we're basically extending the contract without really having a competitive process in this. And I know that we need to move on, and I understand that there's an urgency, but we still need assurance that this is we're getting good value.
That's a good question. So if you recall, we had the project initially broken into 2 phases, and there was separate money in the second phase for the detailed design and contract administration to go from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. We did, as part of the scope change, compare it to other similar contracts and the type of pricing we're getting from consulting firms to do the work. And typically extending a contract like this also has the advantage that the current vendor has the background. They have all the base plans, the property fabric and whatnot, and it affords you an opportunity to do the design more quickly. The extension, I guess the third part of it, the extension of prices was based on the competitive unit prices in the original contract.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, as far as the delay in the construction, I think everybody recognizes it. It's a huge urgency, especially with the Canadian Tire operations going to be opening up soon this year, and it's going to add more trucks. This has become a major truck route. It's bringing trucks from the CP terminal. There's a Sears warehouse on Highway 50, and then all the other logistics in the north of Caledon that have been set up there. So Mayfield is a really congested road. How can we be assured that this will happen in 2018? Because we've seen before where the year comes and then there's all kinds of reasons why it doesn't happen.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the assurance, typically what we find is we get held up by utilities if there's unplanned work related to utility relocations. Not having property in place sometimes leads to uncertainty because you have to go through the expropriation process and environmental approval. So they're probably the 3 biggest uncertainties that we wrestle with on these projects in terms of schedule. So now our project managers advise me they have all those things in place. So it's really a question of hydro is moving. You've probably seen it out there. And it really is a question of calling the contract and doing the construction. The reason it takes 2 years to construct something like this is typically the structures take a long time. There's very specific timing windows when you can work in the creeks and do the structure works, and that's what leads to the delays. So they'll do as much as they can on the road work, but it's the structures that really dictate the schedule. But we have a high level of confidence, given that all the approvals and whatnot are in place, that this will proceed by the end of 2018.
By the end.
End of the construction season in 2018.
So really, we won't see any really substantial work till 2019 then?
No, sorry, to be clear, this will be complete by the end of 2018.
It will be complete.
So it'll be
Okay.
a construction mess during 17 and 18,
Okay.
and then it will be complete.
Oh, I thought you said it was going to be started in 2018. Great. Thank you. Thank you for that assurance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Councillor Spraveri read my mind. And thank you for bringing this forward, because I agree with the two speakers. It's been a long time coming. The one question I have, and I know that my residents in Bolton, they're concerned about the congestion, and Councillor Spraveri raised the whole Canadian Tire issue, which they're scheduled to open this year. We, at the town of Caledon, we just approved another 420 acres of employment lands along Coleraine, and Mayfield Road in that area. I know you're going to Airport Road, but then we have some challenges there, and I know residents have been asking, because they've been told that we're going to be expanding it to the 4 lanes or 6 lanes. So where is it with respect to timelines to take it all the way to Highway 50?
Through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps that's something we can bring a holistic picture back to council, but just to give you a little bit of quick information, there is planned process to get the widening all the way to Highway 50. You'll recall the Mayfield Road actually will take a turn before you get to Coleraine, sweep to the south, and then loop around and connect opposite Major Mackenzie. So there's 5 roads in that area that are under an environmental assessment now. We're doing it co-proponents with the City of Brampton, and that should be, the EA should be completed by the end of this year. The widening for Mayfield Road, so Mayfield would be widened to 6 lanes as far as that A2 that turns down, and then it would be 4 lanes from there to Highway 50. The work is probably going to be around 2020, 2021 construction. It's being coordinated with the work we're doing on Highway 50, and the part that is connected to Coleraine and this new A2 road is being coordinated with some widening work that York is doing on Major Mackenzie. And ultimately, that will be the connection for Mayfield to connect cross Highway 50, connect to Major Mackenzie, and also ultimately to connect to the 427 extension. So I know it's hard to follow with words, but perhaps we could bring a little update for council with, some sketches and whatnot to
And I think, thank you, Gary, and I think that would be really helpful, and because I know my residents are going to look at this and they're going to go, hey, well, what about us, right? We got all these trucks coming through our community, and we got Canadian Tire ready to roll out shortly, so that would be helpful. And maybe in the meantime, if there's something you can even provide to myself as the councillor there, that I could put in a newsletter just to give them information and to provide some clarity on that yes, this is in the works, but due to these other things that's happening, it's not as simple, and this is the time frame.
Yep, happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else on the board, moved by Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councilor Sprovieri. All in favor? Carried. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Brings us to other business. There's 2 items that were added, the election of the regional chair and the timing of the region city budgets. Madam Mayor, on the regional chair.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so this legislation has passed as Bill 70, and it passed as part of it wasn't included in the modernization of the Municipal Elections Act, but as part of the fall economic statement in November. I don't think it was brought to our attention that this had passed. And I know that when we brought a motion forward, we actually had this discussion and debate, and we voted 23 opposed to the idea of electing the chair. 2 were absent, and 1 voted in support of an elected chair. So those were our numbers. So I don't know if the 2 that were absent feel. I'm not sure what can be done at this point, other than I would think that this is a solution to a problem that I didn't think we had here. And I think the current process is democratic, and that I think that our vote should be respected. York and Niagara also represent very large regions, and the combined vote of Peel, Niagara, and York is over 2.3 million people that are opposed to having an elected chair. And I guess I'm just looking for advice at this point, that we weren't told that this was going to be introduced and passed so quickly in the provincial legislature. I think it'll add significant costs after the next election if our chair has to be elected. In the same way, we weren't consulted when they eliminated corporate and union donations and shortened our writ period without our consultation. The provincial government has done this. So I'm at your discretion. Is there any opportunity, do we think, to write a letter to oppose? At this point, it's been passed. It was done without our consultation, and we opposed it as a council. So I'm raising it because we should have discussed it in December, but we were busy with budget, and it wasn't brought to our attention that it was pending. It was going to be discussed and gone to committee. So yeah, that generated some interest. Good. That's what I wanted to do, just to flag it that this did pass and that we should have had an opportunity to send a further letter to say you're considering this. Just going on record again as saying we have a vote of our council that says we oppose it. So why don't we go through the list, see what people suggest. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, Mayor Thompson.
I agree where Mayor Crombie is going. My question is from what I understood, it's a done deal. I guess does legal have a handle on this to tell us, to ask? Maybe we're just, yeah, it was Bill 70. If it's done, it's done. But if I can get a legal opinion on this, I guess that's the only way where we can go, really.
Bill 70, which contains this provision, has been enacted.
Okay.
The repeal of the bill would have to occur in order to essentially reverse the effect of that enactment.
Okay. I think that kind of answers our question.
Yeah. Councillor Shaughnessy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I support Mayor Crombie, and just because it's legislated doesn't mean that it couldn't be repealed. Also, just from voicing our disdain at not being consulted, I think we should. Whether we do it, I don't know if it can be as a letter or it could be as a motion of this council to direct to the authorities our displeasure on how they've handled the process. Because if they continue to handle processes and not discuss with us, like I think I remember something to do with the marijuana also, all of a sudden they were enacting something and they never consulted with the Region Appeal. And I think this is setting an example that I hope isn't going to continue in the future. So I would support if we wanted to put a motion on the table, I would support that. I think we have to make our voices heard. That's what we do. We represent the people. From a Caledon point of view, I don't know how 70,000 people can have their voices heard when you're up against, a possible million people in Mississauga and 800 or 900,000 people in Brampton. So I think there's an inequity there, and that may have worked had all the municipalities been similar in size. Maybe it wouldn't have been a terrible thing, but it certainly puts a huge onus on the taxpayers. I agree with you, on the taxpayers of the Region Appeal. I firmly believe that we shouldn't just sit back and take it. We're not going to take it anymore, I think is what we're not going to take it anymore. So let's do something about it, and if they turn us down, at least we've done what we can as a council. So I support Mayor Crombie. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sato.
Thank you. Well, I agree that just because we probably have no hope of having the bill repealed, that we should just sit back and accept it. You know, it is showing, once again, a blatant disregard for municipal government and the work that we do. I mean, the OMB is another example of the blatant disregard of public process and open and transparent government. It really, you know, the consultation that was undertaken before this happened is just a mockery. I mean, it's a sham. And we spent a lot of time at Governance Committee in the city going through the Municipal Election Act reform suggestions, only to find out that new changes were brought in that had never been part of the consultation process and were thrown in, and we found out after it was already passed. There was no additional consultation. So, you know, stop asking us for our opinion if you're going to go and you know what you're going to do anyway. And, you know, I kind of laugh at it because the provincial government touts all of these changes for open and transparent government, and that is the least open and transparent process are at the province of Ontario when they're dealing with municipal governance. So, you know, yes, it has passed, and it was a shock to all of us. It has ignored the region of Peel's and York and the other Niagara, the other municipalities, what they wanted, and I don't think we should sit back and take it. I don't think it's appropriate for a letter to go from the chair of the region of Peel about the election process. You know, I just don't think the optics of that would be really. Yeah, I think so. I think you have a conflict there of sending a letter. So I think that it should be a resolution of council, sent from council, and, you know, even if it's a letter and every member of council signs it, and I would hope everyone would sign it, I think we have to get the message across that if you're going to ask us for our opinion, at least give some attention to those opinions and stop making changes on the fly, because that's really what this was. It just kind of popped in. As Mayor Crombie said, the financing popped in, you know, and they're doing it with the places to grow. They're doing it with planning, with municipal elections, with governance, with everything. And yes, we are creatures of the province, but, you know, I think those of us with children, you know, if we ask our kids' opinion, I think we're going to at least give it some consideration. You may not agree with them, but at least you're going to tell them before you make big changes. And I think that is the least that we should be asking for, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I 100% agree with the other council members that have spoken. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. At Brampton last week, we had a presentation from staff on all the changes that have been made and the changes that are coming up. I'm not sure if the other two municipalities have had that yet. Maybe we should have that here, because there's more changes coming. There's more changes than this that have already been passed that you may not even know about yet. And it was staggering to me last week that when we asked our staff to clarify certain things, most of the time the answer we got was, we don't know that yet. They're not clear. That's appalling to me that the province would make these changes and not be clear on what they want. A good example of that was a question I asked about when this term of council would be finished.
Exactly.
This term of council, we were all elected to, in my opinion, to December 1st of 2018, when the next term would start. That's changed. It's changed now to November 15th. So in my opinion, anybody who doesn't get elected or decides to retire is owed 2 weeks of pay.
Yeah.
Like, how do they make these decisions there that, you know, that, The cost is another big thing, as Mayor Crombie, we don't know what the cost is going to be. Each municipality is going to bear that cost, because they're the ones that have to run that election. And we know if if you run a by-election, the type of cost that comes up, well, this is now going to be a city-wide, a regional-wide type of thing. Who knows what that's going to be? But there are a lot of other changes, and I think maybe we need to have those changes brought here so we can speak on behalf of a region as well as each municipality doing that thing. And I would suggest that if Caledon and Mississauga haven't done that yet, do it, because some of the other changes to me, changes to the Election Act, it's appalling. It's the most least transparent thing that I have ever seen in the way that they're telling us how we can collect money in elections and what we can and can't do is really going to, in my opinion, going to help the politicians, but not be transparent anymore. And that's not what we want. If we look at our elections now, when we run an election, we collect money. We're the most open and transparent level of government there is. You put it right out there. It's right online now for us. Everybody can see. What the province has created is enabling us to hide things that I don't want to ever have to do. So I think we need to have that discussion here again and maybe get staff to make a presentation.
Yeah, Councillor Gibson, you've raised some excellent points, and we'll take that as direction. And the Commissioner of Corporate Services, if you'd like to comment.
Just wanted to note that we are planning to bring forward a report in late March, early April for Council's consideration.
Okay, well done.
It's too late.
They're already changing for us before we have a chance to even talk about them, which is obvious. And
We'll take that as direction.
thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. Councillor Miles.
Well, interesting conversation we're having this morning, and I'm just going to muddy the waters a little bit here because the resolution that was passed by this council as an outcome of the governance task force had said not only did we feel that the regional chair should be appointed, but it also recognized that there should be greater representation for the city of Brampton at this council, that in fact all of our councillors should be here at this table. So I don't have any problem with the resolution, us bringing back that resolution that was passed and reinforcing with the province of Ontario that that we had, our wish had been, for many good reasons, that the regional chair be elected from council. But I think it also has to address the inequity of representation for the city of Brampton at the region of Peel that has not been addressed. So like that, and if there's more to come, I hope that's a good thing, and I hope that that is going to be addressed, because it's certainly top of the agenda in the city of Brampton. We haven't forgotten that time is passing, and that representation at the region of Peel needs to be addressed before we get ready for the next election. So if we are going to, Chair Dale, I'd be happy to put a motion on the floor that the recommendation of the regional council that was passed in regards as a result of the governance task force be brought forward, and we reconfirm with the province of Ontario the wishes that this council had in regards to not only the regional chair but regional representation here in Peel.
I'm going to ask David to respond to that second part first. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I did follow up this week in anticipation. Actually, just out of curiosity as to where we were, it wasn't in anticipation. I followed up with the minister's office. As Council will recall, Council did request the minister to put in place the process to allow to go to the triple majority vote on governance changes at the region. The minister did post the changes for comments for 30 days, and that ended in December, I believe. And I've been told that the minister is considering comments received and will be communicating with council shortly. And so what the minister has two choices, I assume.
I'm not quite sure what you just told me. Sorry.
Okay, so the process to consider a change to representation at regional council is underway. We are waiting to hear back from the minister to give authority to undertake the triple majority process, where each municipality would take the resolution that council approved back to its own council, vote on it, and bring it back here.
They already have. All three municipalities have already voted on that issue.
But not as part of the official governance change that's required by provincial legislation.
How quickly can you have that motion back here?
As soon as we hear back from the minister. We need the minister's approval to go to the next step, and that's what we're waiting for.
Comment period closed December 15th.
Well, as soon as we hear, we hear.
Mayor Crombie.
Thank you. So I don't want to interfere in the minister's governance process, and that's not an issue we have consensus on. The election of the chair is one we do have consensus on, so let's just deal with it, and then we can deal, each municipality, each of our councils will deal with the representation issue when it comes back to us. So I'm hearing there is a consensus. I don't see Councillor Sato's just stepped out. So we would like to put forward a motion that we do deal with this and send back a letter from, as Councillor Sato was suggesting, signed by all of us, or I think it would have to probably be signed by all of us, because one of the mayors, I think is the one is in disagreement. So that we do, I'll move the motion, that we write a letter, not from the chair, but from, and Councillor Sato may be interested in seconding the motion, since she raised the idea, that we write the letter from all of us and sign it all to alert the minister that he has contravened our desires and the desires of Niagara and York as well. So if Councillor Sato would like to second that, since she spoke to it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Raz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I would support the letter as well. Although I do get concerned for all the letters that we have sent the province in the last 2 years that I've been on council, they have either gone unanswered or no action taken. So my hope level is quite low. I also know that we continue to be viewed as socio-political creatures of the province, as Councillor Sato has said, and that has been referred to me by a cabinet minister in the past, and we continue to be treated that way. And it's unfortunate that these actions that have been taken have been, without even public consultation with our residents. So let alone us. So that's been an unfortunate outcome. And I almost feel like the processes that they're putting in place would allow, should a number of MPPs lose their seats in the upcoming election, that they can just easily slide in there and run for municipal council. Kind of gives them a little parachute, because they don't have the pensions. They certainly don't have the some of the protections. They do have pensions?
No, they don't.
They don't have pensions.
No
That's
pension.
right. They get a payout. So yeah, I would support that, and it's for a regional chair to run across this region, to have a shortened time frame, to have the third-party advertising, to have the lower amounts or greater restrictions on the finances, unless they have incredibly deep pockets or have an incredibly big name, I think that's antilogical to what would be greater democracy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's my annoying comments for now.
Typical.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. And I can't help but think that many forms of democracy and having an appointed chair by regional council is not anti-democratic. You have school board chairs, you have police chiefs, committee chairs. Part of democracy is for certain groups of people to select leaders among themselves to serve in certain roles. So the vice-regal position that you hold is of extreme importance to it in that he's above politics. And, I can only imagine an elected chair, from a certain area or not from an area. It brings you down to our level, so to speak. And I've always admired the regional chairs because you could go to them and they spoke for the region without counting votes. So I don't think when the framers of this legislation didn't have that in mind, but still, we have so many positions in government that are appointed or selected by other people. For all the other reasons given too, but I support it. But it is an end of an era that I don't think it's a move that's going to improve anything across Ontario at all. So I will certainly be a pleasure to support the motion in support of retaining an appointed chair in the Region Appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I certainly support what my colleagues are saying around the table, and I'm going to tell you, if we go and elect a chair at large, Caledon will never see another chair here at the Region Appeal. So,
No question.
you know, and
You're right.
and I absolutely, you got it. And I will tell you, I guess I will express my disappointment as well with the province, because I think it's just disrespectful to us here. We sent a resolution up, and it just, we don't have an explanation, as Councillor Gibson and others said, to give to our residents. They just went ahead, made a decision, and I don't even understand a lot of what they've actually decided. So I just want to echo my support to my colleagues that have spoken around the table, that we need to go back to the province and say, you know, consultations with the lower municipalities are very important, because at the end of the day, our constituents, they don't know who their MPP is or MP or whatever. They only know their local elected officials, and they come to us for everything. So we have to be able to be ready to answer those questions. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Before I go to the next speaker, I'm just going to ask our regional solicitor to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wishing to point out that I've scratched together some wording to capture what I think is the consensus developing around the table. But I haven't had a chance to get the clerks to type it up at this point. So I just wanted to flag that for you.
Okay, thank you. And when it's ready, if you could put it up on the screen for all members of council to view. Thanks. Councillor Moore. Or Sprovieri, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to use a phrase I used yesterday at council at the city. We don't have to take this like a bunch of sheep. I think that we can stand up to the province. I think what they've done is totally wrong. And I believe we should let them know that. And I believe that we should put in a message that we're going to boycott their new legislation. And we're not going to follow their leadership on this. So just let them know that we're not going to just take it laying down, and we're not going to just go along with what. All right.
Yeah. That's going to be our theme song.
Thank you.
That's all I got to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Yeah.
Thank you. I guess we're taking a page out of Councillor Parrish's playbook from last week. We ain't going to take it anymore. Absolutely, you can count on my support for the motion. I think that we need to make a very strong statement. I'd like to ask for a recorded vote when the vote is called. We made it very clear, and Mayor Crombie, where there is overwhelming consensus around this table, we need to move collectively and send that message. So thank you for raising this today.
Thank you. Councillor Parrish.
I'm going to try to be sedate. It is a dictatorship by the province, as everything else is that they do. Fair Share for Peel is a 20-year example of that, and I'll keep bringing that up until our report from the Health Committee comes back next week. I do support an elected chair, strangely enough. I think people go through nominations for party positions, and it's money and power that gets them elected and selected. And they become useless when they get to Ottawa most of the time, because they're not chosen from a large number of people like you would in a primary situation. But I am a solid believer in sticking with my leader and sticking with the majority of my council. I don't march to a different drummer, so I will be, well, I occasionally do. But no, we have a really great council. We get along well. They all want this, so I'm going to vote with them. But I don't agree with it. I think what you would get would be people who are well-known in communities, whether it's Mississauga, Brampton, or Caledon. You'll get people with a name that have earned that reputation. And you'll get people that everybody recognizes, rather than somebody that, and I love Frank, and I will vote for him eternally. And if he has to run, I will be working on his campaign, because I think he should be the first elected regional chair if we don't get our way with the province, which I don't believe we will. There is one, and George brought it to memory, at the school board, the chair is elected every year. And the chair is elected from people who are elected by a community. And they still serve their ward, and they run the meetings just like a traffic cop. and they don't have any power, because if they step out of line, the rest of the councillors or trustees say, who the heck told you you could do that? So I think that's a good system, and I think there is one region that actually has that now, that they have their chair elected every year from amongst
Councillor Parrish, I think Niagara traditionally has elected from amongst themselves. And
they still serve their ward. That, to me, would be a brilliant way
No, I
of
don't
doing
believe they
it.
serve their ward. I think they...
No, I think they do. I think they do, because they're elected every year. But I would like to have that brought to us just to have a look at it, because if the province thinks they're being so very, very smart, that would be an alternate that wouldn't cost anybody any money. You'd have no by-elections. Everything would work extremely well. And you really would have a chair who is a traffic cop, much as Frank does it. He always consults with everybody, and I'm very pleased with his service. But I am going to vote with the Mississaugas, and my heart is with Linda, and sorry.
Councillor Yanika.
Thank you. It's been said, I fully support the motion, but not that I've ever been good at convincing Carolyn. But Carolyn, I'll leave you with this thought. First of all, it's been said that under this circumstance, I don't see how in the world Caledon will ever again have a regional chairman. But let me give you the one that's more common in the press right now. Everybody's talking about the U.S. situation where someone can win without having a majority of the popular vote. It's a very smart system they have, and they have it for a reason. Easy to want to throw it out, but remember, it is a fact for any of you that have ever studied representative democracy. If they did not do that in the United States, in the next election, the only place someone running for president would campaign is New York, Florida, Illinois, Texas, California. Nothing else matters. And having given them electoral colleges, they matter now. And if you study the U.S. history, it's how brilliant their Constitution was. At first, it wasn't those states. California almost didn't exist. California would have argued against it. It was the northeastern states, the 12, 13, that established America. So they thought, as we evolve, let's get... So easy to throw it out when you're upset the morning after. Then when you analyze it, you see the brilliance of it. They've elected some pretty good people around here, and we've picked some damn good regional chairs. And it does not serve the smaller hamlets, and I think it's unfair. Councillor Gibson's mentioned, too, the electoral reform and how it finances it. And what they really want to do is keep incumbents in office and make it easier for us to raise money. And people like him and me and others have said, that's not good democracy. So against our own interests, throw that out. But the other point that I wanted to make, this is what rests with me, and Carolyn, you've touched upon it. Is it just me, or I've been around too long, absolutely galling of the provincial and often the federal government, that the items that we put at their footsteps every day that are important to us, that what you're talking, I didn't hear you, what did you say? They don't deal with at all, and then out of nowhere, they pluck these things. Haven't we had enough of it? You know, things like the OMB, things that we've been at the forefront in the 3 decades. Well, forgive me, some of you are going to be very angry with me, but I'll say it, I guess after 30 years, I have the right. I don't know why it is, but they've got to get rid of that program that when the province and the federal governments elect people and they go to Ottawa or Queen's Park, they've got to stop the practice of the frontal lobotomy before they start, that they forget how a city runs. And many of them are municipal, local. They get to Ottawa. They get to a city. What? What's a city? Well, we've given them the lobotomy. They don't know how a city runs it. And they've proved it over the 30 years that I've been around. Thank you.
Councillor Starr.
Well, fearing that frontal lobotomy, I'm going to throw out a Carlson-ism, and that is, what do you hear right now? Do you hear the sounds of silence? That's because the dead horse down there, as we're beating him, it ain't moving. And the dead horse, there's a lot of dead horses right now down at that place they call Queen's Park, and I have the solution. You see, we got 24 councillors. And we got 48 months, 2 months each, and you carry on your business. We save 250 grand a year, and you get to wear the chain of office for 2 months. What do you think?
It's too heavy.
Anyway, you know what? I'm voting for it. Let's move on.
Where's the motion?
Okay.
Here it is.
You gonna put it on the screen? Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, I was just going to ask if it could be
I've got it.
put on the.
Okay.
1 second.
Put it on? Is it, there it is. Whereas Bill 70 requires general election of the additional chair. In 3 weeks, it got royal assent. When they want to.
Everyone had an opportunity to read that then? Councillor Gibson?
Make sure we send this to the other municipalities that are in the same boat that Mayor
Yeah.
Crombie had talked about.
York and Niagara, right.
Okay.
Councillor Sato, did you have a change? Because I'm okay with it.
Councillor Sato?
Yeah, sorry. No, it was just they had that, the regional chair. It was a change for 4. However, it doesn't actually say who, I just noticed who the letter should be addressed to. And a letter, I think it should go to the Premier.
Premier.
So we could just add that in, that it go to the Premier.
Premier. And CC the minister.
Yes, CC the minister.
CC the minister.
And, yeah, and CC the minister.
Okay.
What are MPPs?
Well, we would CC all the MPPs.
So the motion's been moved by Mayor Crombie, seconded by Councillor Sato, and a recorded vote is, Councillor Parrish.
Just for clarification, I know they've changed that you take your seat in November, but it's still an October election. This is a little confusing. So I think you should take the 2018 municipal election and don't put a month in there.
Okay, yep, makes sense.
Is that a friendly amendment?
Friendly amendment.
That's about as friendly as I get.
All right. Recorded vote has been asked for. Madam Clerk?
Yep. Let's take the vote. Yes, all in favor? Councillor Carlson, Councillor Crombie, Councillor Fonseca, Councillor Gibson, Councillor Groves, Councillor Unica, Councillor Innes, Councillor Jeffrey. No. Sorry. Councillor Kovac, Councillor Mahoney, Councillor McFadden, Councillor Medeiros, Councillor Miles, Councillor Moore, Councillor Palashi, Councillor Parrish, Councillor Raz, Councillor Sato, Councillor Shaughnessy, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Starr, Councillor Tovey, and Councillor Thompson, sorry. It's carried unanimously.
No, Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
That's for opposed.
One opposed.
Opposed.
Opposed? Yes. Yes. Yeah, Councillor Jeffrey. Opposed.
All right.
Could have been a dead cow. Why is it a dead horse?
Screwed that up.
Our next, Councillor Tovey?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just sort of point of order. I was just wondering, should we address this then to the unelected Premier of Ontario? Because I don't think I got to vote for Premier of Ontario.
The selected.
Councillor Parrish?
I was on to number 13. I have a notice of motion for next council meeting.
We're not.
I know we're not there yet.
We're at
You're
the-
dragging your heels.
No, I'm trying not to. There's another item under other business. It's respect to the timing of the region and city budgets.
I'm sorry to be such a troublemaker today. So I don't know how the rest of you felt, but I got a sore back from carrying all the budget binders. I'm wondering if we could space it out a little bit so that we can focus a little more on both the region and our city budgets. And I was proposing that we'd consider the regional budget ahead of our city budgets. And I think that our CAO has suggested that that's going to be the case next year, or this year rather, 2017.
If I may, Mr. Chair, yes, we're already working on a revised schedule, and we'll bring it forward to council shortly.
Good. Yeah, taking his direction, yeah. Now, notices of motion. Councillor Parrish.
So I've brought this up before, and I think Councillor Rass has, but we've never actually moved a motion. Whereas there are issues of importance to individual members of regional council that arise on occasion that may not be on a particular regional agenda, and whereas such issues can be asked and resolved and/or deferred by staff to a future agenda, therefore be it resolved that the agenda for the Regional Municipality of Peel have an item entitled Questions or Comments from Regional Councillors after Section 14 bylaws as regular agenda item for all meetings as of February 10th, 2017. So it's just a little extra, we do it all at our councils.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would go
That's a
forward.
notice for next
as
week.
notice to motion.
Next.
Okay. Do we take up? Okay.
Just deal.
Brings us to,
Yeah.
Sato.
Okay.
okay. Don't have a problem with that. We just need 2/3 votes to, okay, a motion to deal with it then? All in. Councillor Miles?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering if the City of Mississauga and the Town of Caledon actually have consent motions on their agendas?
No.
You don't? Okay. I won't raise it then. We have a consent motion, and items that are considered non-controversial would be dealt with in a consent motion, but you could draw, any member of council could draw the item out and have a discussion on it. And I would propose that for the region. Yeah? Okay. Why don't we, I'll put it in as an amendment, and then I'm getting yeses and nos around the table to see whether or not members of council would like to entertain a consent motion. I can tell you it works amazingly well.
Councillor Sato, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mississauga, we just approved a pilot project for consent at, we haven't started it yet, but it was approved in the end of last year, and we will be moving forward with that. We did it through our governance committee. We do have a committee at the region that has been shelved. Councillor Shaughnessy chairs the committee, and I think I'm vice chair of that committee, to look at the regional bylaw, and there was no need at the time for the committee to look at things, but an issue of a consent agenda is larger than just adding inquiries, so I would suggest that perhaps that be referred to the committee and be dealt with appropriately and looked into. And as I said, we're just starting the pilot in Mississauga, so we don't know how it's going to go. But the other thing that we added in Mississauga is all votes now will be recorded votes at council. So, which is why we're going to the consent agenda, so that we aren't inundated with numerous recorded voting. So we're just embarking on that, and we're not sure how it's going to work. So we may want to wait until we've had our little, at least a couple of months of testing it before we look at it here. So maybe refer it to that committee, and then we can deal with it appropriately.
Okay. Councillor.
For a period of 4 months, 4 to 6 months.
I think it should go to the committee because, the committee look at those major changes. The inquiry request, I think, is a minor change. And, it's just adding an inquiry onto the agenda. Consent agenda and recorded votes are rather major changes to the bylaw. So if you would defer it to the committee, I think that would be appropriate.
Councillor Miles?
Suggestion was not for every vote to be recorded. My suggestion was simply for a consent agenda with the pilot would be fine, but I don't want to marry the two.
No. But I just want clarification. Are you referring it to committee, or are you okay with that? Or did you want to deal with it today?
My preference would be we simply ask council, do you want to try a pilot?
I can put that to the vote, but
Well, why don't we try seeing if there's a pilot for that, and if that fails, we'll send it to the committee.
all right. Okay, the first motion would be to deal with it, the inquiry, like to add that to. So all those in favor of dealing with it today, because I need 2/3 votes to open it up. Okay, that carries. And then the motion would be that we add, I guess, inquiries after notice, or after bylaws. Okay, sure, okay, all in favor? Carried. And then there's a motion to do the consent, no, for the consent agenda. Yeah.
To go to committee.
No, it's actually, the motion is to deal with a consent agenda, right? As a pilot. Okay, all those in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Shaughnessy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My only concern about that is we don't have a regular clerk here, and I think that's a discussion that we need to have. I don't think this is can be done as quickly as what
Well, then you
Councillor
don't
Miles.
vote for it. And then we'll,
Yeah, but I wanted to put my 2 cents in.
okay.
So I put
no
my
problem.
2 cents in, I feel better.
Okay, all those in favor then of doing a pilot project with respect to a consent agenda? Opposed? Okay. Sorry? Oh, all those in favor, I'll do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, 5 in favor, opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Fails. All right.
Yes.
All those in favor of that motion? Carried. Thank you. Bylaws, moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Shaughnessy, that the bylaws listed on the Regional Council agenda be in bylaws 5-2017 to 7-2017 inclusive, be given the required number of readings, taken as read, signed by the Regional Chair and the Regional Clerk, and the corporate seal be affixed thereto. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. We have 2 in-camera matters, and I would ask that we just take a... Yeah. Yeah. No, I know, yeah. Motion by Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Tovey to go in camera. All in favor? Opposed to any? Carried. And would ask that just the